United TV, Chelsea 0, Manchester United 1. Cunha with the winner. We're going to be looking at the game. We're going to be doing full match reaction, fan reaction as well. So people's comments will be getting read out and we'll be looking at this. We will be going through full player ratings as well, discussing where we won the game, how we won the game, what happened. Before we go into it, we said at the start, didn't we? We said this is a massively important game. I said I'm going to say this then. When we did the post-match, I said, looking at our defence, no disrespect to players on the pitch, looking at our defence on paper, I said I'd be surprised if we got a clean sheet, and we've done it. Yeah. And we got a clean sheet. We got a very, very important win. It's probably going to be locking up like Champions League football now. It puts us 10 points above Chelsea. But what's your initial reaction? Like we'll go into the game in detail after, but what's your initial reaction about I suppose the results, the main thing we have to get over the line?
I mean, I'm exhausted, to be fair, watching that game. But, oh, my God, all you need to do is get the ball at the back of the net. And that was the one thing Chelsea couldn't do today. And we did it, against the run of play, but we did it. And then defending a 1-0 lead is crazy. To do it for 45 minutes is stoic. We rode our luck at times. But look, 3 points, clean sheets, Bruno with another assist, 3 away now from the record. Cunha with a lovely goal. He's our man. I love Cunha. I'm just happy. I'm happy we came away from Stamford Bridge with 3 points. Like you say, 10 points clear of Chelsea now. With 5 matches to go, there's only 15 points available. Chelsea are up and down. It's more than likely Champions League is secure now. Now, all we need to do is secure 3rd place.
Yeah, and I said, because I've organised a stream with Chelsea content creator Nina, I was saying this happened last time as well. We had a stream to discuss the match after we'd won, so she's going to never organise to do anything with me again after this. United beat Chelsea home and away this season. Yeah, that's going to be crucial. This time we didn't have to have a sending off, but do you look at it in terms of this is resilience, isn't it? That we've dug in. I don't know how we managed to win this game in the end. It's one of those games like the Newcastle win, I guess, where you think we've got over the line. And luckily, Chelsea aren't playing as well. And actually, we said this, didn't we, that they were going to miss João Pedro. Estevao went off injured as well. So it kind of a few things helped us in our favour, didn't they? But it was still, we still had to dig in. And it's essentially a makeshift defence, isn't it?
Oh, my God. Yeah, it was literally... The second half was literally just trying to ensure they didn't come. And we've done the counter a couple of times and it didn't pay off. But I found that second half so difficult to watch because I was like, Neto was pinging balls into the box for fun, but yeah, we got through it. And sometimes I've said it time and time again, and it happened to Ferguson's era. You've got to win ugly. I don't think that was an ugly performance. I just think we didn't have the players, so we couldn't make those adjustments. But yeah, we rode our luck to come away with a clean sheet. It's the second time we've played in this season, 2 clean sheets. They've not yet scored against us in the Premier League this season. 3 goals against them. Chelsea will be kicking themselves this evening. They really will. And we walk away with the points. So yeah, happy days.
I know for people that you got your comments and questions, and I'm going to go through all those in a second and see what people think. I think people might be relieved with this one. I'm entertaining. Bilal says Mainoo was brilliant.
It was.
Said Maguire, Heaven could work together next week. It might be the best option, I suppose, next week as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go. No.
I was just thinking, Euro would have been bullied off that by Dalot. I think Heaven, that was a great moment where Heaven just took him out at the side and Dalot fell on the floor. That was an interesting moment with him and Mazraoui. I was thinking, God, they need to get a room. They're rummaging on the floor at the 45th minute. But yeah, the physicality of Dalot, and I think Heaven dealt with that. And Heaven made some really interesting tackles, sliding across the floor a couple of times. I was like, but he got it right.
He's one that I said that when we were talking about this early on in the season, there was a period of time where Heaven started about 3 or 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
And my thoughts at the time were, considering he's played less than 10 games for Manchester United, or it was certainly about hardly any games at the time. My thoughts were, okay, he's very raw. And I was just thinking, I think he might develop quicker than Yoro, because Yoro already had a season last year in the Premier League, had a season in top league in France, and we're comparing literally a handful of games with Aidan Heaven. I think he's one of these players that he's physically like levels above, isn't he? A lot of players that were at his age in the academy. He's like I said, like massive physically, and I think that's going to give him a bit of advantage in the early part of his career. But in terms of like when he starts getting things, he's good on the ball. Got a lot of experience of playing in midfield in the academy, and I think he's definitely pairing with the right sort of player. He could be one of the bargains ever, like one of the biggest bargains we've ever made. The fact you can get a player that's this good for 1.5 million or 1 million. I read something a week ago, 2 weeks ago, saying his valuation's like about 17, 18 million already, and he's played hardly any games at all. I think there's definitely, he's raw, I will say that. And I think there was a massive content creator that was pretty critical of him after about 3 games. And I was just like, no, give him time. And with better coaching, I think we're seeing that there's loads of potential regarding this one. And Danny B says, if he gets consistent minutes, quality player, he's going to make mistakes. He made a mistake in, was it the Bournemouth game? But of course he's going to make mistakes. He's 19 years old. He's played in the academy, and his first taste of football is for Manchester United in a team that was not very well set up at the start of the season.
But you look at him, he doesn't look like a 19-year-old. He's got the physicality. He can take players on.
He's like Rooney, isn't he? Like if you didn't know any background and he walks onto the pitch and you said this is like his 5th game or something, you'd think he's sure. He looks like he looked actually, even though a few games ago not as good, but I think he looks like could be a good player for next season. And I think that's why we need to get some experience just to try and pair it with some of these younger players. Most says, can we agree Cole Palmer did not look like a £150 million player? And maybe Cole Palmer's looking for a move to Manchester United, wants to make sure he gets Champions League football next season, didn't want to do anything crazy tonight to jeopardise that. But no, the valuation of Cole Palmer is very high. He's definitely, some games he's amazing, some games he's not great, put it that way.
I think he had a fairly good first half, but then I think he quietened up as the half ended. Second half, I didn't see him. I really didn't see him. So very quiet game for him in the second half. But all the play was going through the wings. Chelsea were just attacking out through the flanks all throughout the first half and the second half. And that's where all the joy was. So maybe Palmer then kind of got edged out in that respect. Neto, again, was having a massive amount of joy. Just quickly on Heaven, when Martinez got injured, I was crying out for Heaven because I thought he's the natural replacement. He's a conductor. He's physical. He's exactly, to me, he was a much more natural replacement than Yoro. And I hope we see more of him before this season runs out. I do.
I think we'll have to, because he's one of only 2 centre-backs actually physically available. No, we can laugh about it, but no, it's good that we had the foresight to do some of these deals, which a lot of people at the time, I remember. This is we signed him last January, didn't we? And so he's only been at the club for a year.
Yeah.
And he's still very young. And at the time we signed him, people did think, right, why are we signing players at this age? And I think the idea is going to be that no one thought he was going to suddenly be required to be a first-team player in the first year. But I think we're identifying talent. And the idea is that he would be considered a bargain in a few. And actually already he's considered a bargain. And Maz and Heaven, Kobe, brilliant tonight, says Neil. Yeah, positive about that. I mean, Mazraoui, I think it was a combination of he was pretty rusty last time he played.
Yeah, he was, but it can happen to any player if they've come out. So, some players are just naturally, they'll come on and they'll hit the ground running. He did have a shocker, but he seems much more relaxed. Quite physical, and I thought he would be in that role as right centre back. And as we said, they were playing as a free a lot of the time when United were attacking forward, and he seemed very comfortable there. He had Dalot on toast quite a few times. Happy for him. I think he needed that game under his belt after the previous match. It's good.
100%. 100%. I think that when you play one game and you don't play for what feels like an eternity, it's quite rusty, and you don't have many minutes. Cole Palmer not on our radar, says Gregory. I mean, it's the story that keeps being dragged out every week or so, and at the moment, I don't think Manchester United have the budget to buy someone like Cole Palmer. And I'm not going to say I wouldn't like him. I think he's been a good player at times. I don't want Cole Palmer at United, says Neil. And Bruno Fernandes, we'll talk about him in a bit. Is he going to break the record for? I mean, it's like the count. It seems to be like he's like another assist from Bruno.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say this. Did I realize how good Heaven is? I think I'm fairly patient with players like Heaven. They haven't played a lot of games. I thought that he would be, when Manchester United signed him, they said he's going to be a first-team player a bit quicker than people expect. And the idea was that last season he might kind of, come in and out of the team, replacing Lisandro Martinez. That was just before Martinez got injured. So that was kind of the approach that's what I'd read when we signed him. I think that we've had a lot of things go on with different managers and a lot of things at the club that haven't been ideal for bringing younger players through. So I thought there was a good player in there. And I think the talent the scouting is a bit better than we've seen. And I thought at the time, 1.5 million, it's literally nothing, is it? So at the time, I thought if we sign like 5 academy players I've never heard of and they all cost 1.5 million, I'd be absolutely fine, because there's only one way it can go, and that's making profit. The fact that Arsenal fans were not happy with taking Heaven and Chido told me all I needed to know, to be honest. When you see that, when I remember a couple of channels, I just jumped in to say hello, and my question was pretty much, what do you guys rate? What do you guys think of these players? And the reaction I got was they were not happy we got them. So I thought, okay, that tells me all I need to know. You don't need to say anything else. They thought I was there to just laugh at them, but I just a bit of a fact-finding mission. And sometimes that if you did a stream like a day after we sold Garnacho and asked us, we'd be like, yeah, okay, we're happy we got the money. And if you looked at Chelsea fans' reaction, they were not impressed that they got Garnacho.
Yeah, and when I looked at Heaven when he came last year, he had quite a few games, a fair number of games under Ruben, and I liked the look of him then. And I thought, for his age, he was doing well. He's come back in again at the beginning of this season, around November, and got a handful of games then and did well. And I thought, he's unlucky to get dropped by Carrick. I thought he would have probably done well alongside Maguire. That's if Euro is fit, that's an interesting decision.
Gregory says the season-long grind is what makes football great, and it is a long season, isn't it? And if it wasn't a long season, then the more games go by, the closer Spurs are to getting relegated, and it gave West Ham a chance to fight back. It is a long season. I'm kind of surprised that we're probably looking at Chelsea now, 4 defeats in a row. And given that they've got one of the largest squads of players to choose from, you just feel that they would be one squad that wouldn't necessarily suddenly have issues towards this stage of the season. I'm not surprised that we've got some issues with running out of players in certain positions. That's our squad's quite thin. Ajay says Heaven exceptional. Everyone's very positive about Heaven tonight. The player ratings are going to be a fun one. It wasn't Heaven. Started out a bit frantic, but he locked in, says United I die.
Yeah, I thought he did well, really well.
And definitely a comment which I think you will concur with this. Not convincing. Carrick won't make subs early, says Elliot. I suppose with this one, you probably want to, when you're winning the game, sometimes it's difficult to change things, isn't it? And I was thinking that when we were winning against West Ham and we saw Ruben Amorim make changes, I mean, sometimes maybe you're thinking, I know what you're saying, you want to make changes, and maybe you thought the changes might make it worse. But Carrick's something he might have to do a little bit sooner. A big up to you, Makayo. Big up to you, Mr. B. Ducks, all the legends coming in as well. If people could click the like and share the stream as you come in as well, that's massively appreciated. And there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm for player ratings, I think, today.
Yeah.
Ollie Biscuit Barrel saying especially like, well done to Maz and Heaven. I mean, Maz and Heaven as a defensive partnership, clean sheet. You got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, the work rate was phenomenal, and they to time their tackles. It's certainly Heaven to perfection, and they got it right time and again. There was one moment in the first half where they both clattered into a play. That's where Cole Palmer won on the free kick, and it's so on the line. I was for a second I thought, is that a pin? It was him and Shaw, wasn't it? But yeah, I just think he grew in the game. But I think from the off, I think he was having a good game. I think he showed courage in his tackling. He really did.
Yeah, so Arsenal City tomorrow is a big game. If City do win, just to say to Gregory, it makes it interesting, doesn't it, for a neutral? And I'll be interested. Like, I wonder whether refereeing decisions will be going down that route. We'll have to check that out. Bruno Fernandes' game, says Torstein, who I think Torstein's a Chelsea fan, if I remember correctly. It says 45 out of 57 of 59 successful passes. So 9 passes into the final third, 3 chances created. So 1 couple of duels, possession 1, big chance created. This is kind of what Bruno does, isn't it? That Bruno is about getting passes into the box. And I suppose the question mark for people that don't really rate Bruno as much, or don't think they think that maybe he's a better fit for that position, is that but I think this is his strength, isn't it? It's about getting chances, and sometimes in this situation, I'm not sure how many shots we had on target, but we had to. Bruno had to try and get the ball in, had to try and do something.
Yeah, I think in the first half, I think we only had. Can you believe this? We had 1 shot on target the whole match.
Yeah, we had one shot on target. In the end, Chelsea had 3 shots on target.
Yeah.
So this is one that, like, I mean, I hate XG, but yeah, we didn't win the XG battle, but we got the ball in the back of the net, and that's probably what matters.
Yeah. It's as simple as, and they had 21 shots, but they just went on target, and that's been their issue, I suspect, for the last couple of months, clinical finishing. And that's what you've got to do. Sometimes you get 1 chance and you've got to make sure it's at the back of the net, and that's what we did. Just great, really. Happy.
Do you remember when we played Chelsea last season and we had chance after chance after chance, and we couldn't score? Garnacho missed a few chances, and we lost the game. Or was that a game I think might have been a game we narrowly lost or drew? And sometimes this has been Manchester United, isn't it? We had all the possession, we've had loads of shots, and we haven't managed to score. And so, I mean, this happens as well. So we've been on the other side of this where we've had a lot of shots. And I think that the difference is going to be, this is a historical difference. We bought clinical goal scorers, or we bought more accurate goal scorers. If you had Garnacho taking our 1 shot in a game, do you think we'd have been winning the game?
Did you see when he came on today? The ball came over top, lovely position for him, and he slides on the floor and the ball goes through his legs, and then time and again. And there was one point right at the end, he passes the ball to Bruno, and I was thinking, has he forgotten he's playing for Chelsea? It's just like, he'd never great game, did he, Garnacho?
No, I think this was one where, as far as I can see, and I don't want to speak too much about Garnacho for obvious reasons, is that I understand that Chelsea want to sell Garnacho in the summer. That's what I've heard. In which case, it's weird because Chelsea generally, they want to get a profit from most, but I don't see how you can get a profit from Garnacho after this season.
We need a left winger.
No, we need left winger, but we don't need Garnacho. I'll say.
We'll take him at 5 million.
I don't know. Is there a price that I don't think Man United would ever take Garnacho back? I mean, Garnacho's, I think he would come back. I think he'd want to. The only difference is going to be, I don't know what the exact reason was that Ruben Amorim pretty much said you're going to leave. I don't know if there was something about that, and maybe I don't think he's good enough. Really, I don't think he's got the right attitude to develop.
It was that interview. It was that interview, wasn't it, at the end of the season, where he was mad that he didn't get picked for the final. Do you remember?
Yeah. To be honest, at the time, considering we didn't really have much option up front, I would have probably started him. And
yeah, me too.
I think he had a point, although Yeah, the way he went about it's probably not ideal. So Laman's clean sheet, and I guess with Chelsea, if they're going to get 90% of their shots off target, it's going to help. It's going to help a lot.
Yeah, just great. Oh my God, we rode a lot. Two shots off the bar. The Casada shot just going slightly wide. But yeah, he did well to claim a number
Is
of
that a little bit
crosses.
like the Liverpool game where they hit the post a couple of times, didn't they? And sometimes it's just about like it's taking your chance. I think against Liverpool we had the Mbeumo chance, we had the Maguire header, and I don't think we had a lot other than that. I think we took our chances. I don't think we missed too much. So it's a kind of a similar sort of game where we had to dig in. We've had to do the dirty work, and again, like Cunha has kind of shone in that sort of situation.
Yeah. I think we did well really. I mean, they had Fofana hit the post. They had Dalot hit the post, but I think he came well. He collected crosses. He looked like the brick that he always is. He marshaled his defense for us when they were coming at us time and time again. So yeah, I mean, for me, he gets a steady 6 really. Clean sheet as well. Maybe he gets an extra point for a clean sheet.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's 6, 7, 8s in the chat. I was thinking that seems about fair. I mean, so I'll go for like an average. Diego Dalot, what we're thinking about Dalot tonight?
I thought he had a good game. I was a bit annoyed with him first half because he kept giving the ball away to the opposition. Even that throw-in straight to Cole Palmer. There was another one where he gave the ball to Cucurella, and I was like, "Don't give it to Cucurella. He was their danger man for good parts of the game." But I thought he did well. He certainly took pantomime hero Alexander Garnacho out of the game. Yeah, I think he did. It was good defending from him. I thought it's one of his better games. I'm actually going to give him a 7.
Yeah, United side dice says Dalot 7, pocketed Garnacho, and did he slap him in the face? I don't know. Did he slap him in the face?
He did.
Celebrations at the end were elite, says Stephanie. Is that extra marks for good celebrations? Is it as good as like the Rio Ferdinand celebration when he ran the length of the pitch? So let's get some of these comments up as well.
I thought he should have got Cucurella should have got a yellow on the 21st minute because he stamped on Dallas.
Yeah, he's the one of these players that should definitely get booked a lot more than he does.
Yeah,
it's just I think Cucurella might be the equivalent of like Bruno Fernandes for other fan bases. For me, I find Cucurella so annoying. I don't know if Chelsea fans like him. They might do. I mean, he's a good player, but he's just annoying. But
I was completely so. Having said that, I like the fact that Mike Oliver allowed the physicality in the game because there was a lot of rough and tumble in that match, and he just allowed it to continue, which is good.
Yeah, Mackay's saying 7 as well. We got 7 from a few people. So yeah, it's going to be a high mark for Dalot from this channel. That could potentially be season high for him. So Mazraoui, we talked about Mazraoui last week. Bit rusty, coming back into the team. You made the call yesterday. You said put Mazraoui in centre back next to Heaven, keep everybody else in their natural position, and it happened. And
yeah,
people were saying at the very start of the stream, giving him a lot of praise. So we'll go for some Mazraoui marks and see what people are thinking. What were you thinking as well? Because you were saying that you were disappointed by Mazraoui against Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had a shocker of a game against Leeds. He just was. He was just a second off, and yet today he's come in and I thought he performed admirably. He really did. He grew into the game more and more. So he got spun once, I think, by Enzo, but other than that, he had Delap on toast. And in the 83rd minute, he had a great time challenge on Garnacho, and he had to time that to perfection. Otherwise, that was a penalty. And the ball ricocheted of Garnacho and went out for a goal kick. So great movement from him, great defensive astuteness from him. Yeah, really happy. And I think Heaven needed him alongside him. I think they worked really well as a partnership. I think they helped sweep each other's gaps that were left behind. I think they did well. So yeah, really happy for him, Maz. He needed that game under his belt just to kind of wipe because we know he's a good player. You know, all season, the 2 seasons he's been a good player, and generally he gets a 6 or 7 out of 10 every game. So it was really important that he wiped away that nonsense that happened at Leeds, and yeah, happy for him. 7 for me.
Yeah, we got an 8 from Ollie Biscuit Barrel saying because it's not his natural position, he did really well. And an excellent from United Till I Die. So a bit wayward, but called to come in as centre back, put in a good result. I mean, the clean sheet is like something that I wasn't expecting, and as everybody's saying, out of position. And thanks everybody for clicking like. 19 likes so far, so that's brilliant so far. Yeah, out of position. Everybody's like saying at least a 7. So were you going? I'd go for a 7.5 if I could.
Yeah,
they might choose a 7 or 8.
See, everyone was worried about this defence. We've got a clean sheet. I was saying yesterday, I was like, no, defence looks good. I'm happy with that defence. Oh my gosh, how did they give him a 5 point? Oh my days. But they weren't watching the game.
Yeah, no, there must be like some Chelsea fans voting on this one. I think this is one where we might take a little bit more time on this one, just to like. So do you remember how we used to talk about Mainoo when he first broke into the team, and just like the level of composure that he was showing at the time? Aidan Heaven, I can't remember how many. If anyone knows how many games he's played for Manchester United in total, that I think this is someone that if he'd played a whole season somewhere else, I think development-wise, we'd be looking at a player that would be on the radar a little bit of a few teams if he was up for grabs. After say a solid, if he played in the Premier League for Brighton for a season, for example, and they'd signed him from the Arsenal academy, we'd be going, "Why on earth didn't we do that?" And I think because he's just not played many games, he's like gone a little bit under the. Not necessarily under the radar, but I think people are probably the development's going to be slower.
Yeah, and so it should be. He should be in and out of the team. He's 19. You don't want to throw him to the wolves. You don't want to, if you want to develop him and you want movement and you want to bring him in when there's injuries. And I think that's a sensible approach. He may get more games next season, and then in the end, make that position his own. So. But when he has come in, he's done well. And today, he had a lovely tackle in 4 minutes. That was a really important tackle. He made that tackle, and then he did go flying in 10 minutes, and he was lucky, but he got away with that one. And then it was lovely to see him take out Dalot. Dalot, I call him a bricklayer, right?
That must have been like quite early, wasn't it? Like quite because somebody messaged me during that. I think it might have been Jules and said he's gone for like an old school tackle where the first sort of 5 minutes he's let it be known that he's going to be getting stuck in. And Jules' response was, yeah, he's lucky, but he went in pretty heavy. But then he's a physical player, which I think is really good. 19 appearances so far. That's it, says Makai. So not a lot, but a lot. That's why I think when people are judging him or are looking at him, I think you have to be quite patient, and you have to also look at it. He's gonna have a game like where he's not gonna. He's gonna make some mistakes, and that's absolutely fine. We have to just be patient.
I think he's only started about 8 of those games. I think the rest of them have been the Amarin rotation cycle. So he hasn't had many starts, and and again he comes on and he's assured. It's that Dalot thing. I thought it was really important for him to take out Dalot. Just to take him out on the sideline, and that was on his derriere. It was great to see, and. Because you might think that's a mismatch, but no, Aidan haven't handled himself, and it's good to have your presence known.
He got a 5 from Tyrone. Says he's not ready. I suppose this one that it would be good to have a different centre back pairing with him, but there's no options at the moment. Is there? We just didn't have any other options. But I think most of it, people's comments are pretty positive. So having real physical presence will get better. And better to Stephanie, 7 from Stephanie. So we got 1-5, lot of 6s, 7s, and so it needs to work on his strength. I'd say he's pretty strong already.
Yeah.
He's like, isn't he about 6'5"?
He's very tall. Yeah, 6'4", 6'5".
Do you remember we signed him? I'm trying to think if we signed him at the same time as another player. I'm trying to think who it is. It might that
We
was
signed
it
him same time as
Dorgu?
Dorgu. Yeah, it was that
And I think I
January
saw a
window.
picture with Dorgu. I think Dorgu's about 6 foot.
Yeah.
I believe something like that. Is Dorgu? Like, I could be wrong, but I think it's like 6 foot, 6'1" or something like that. And I saw the picture of them two next to each other, and you think, wow, what a unit. So if he works on his strength, it'd be frightening. And he's one person I'd say, I don't know if he does need to work on, like, when like Yori needs to bulk up. I think Heaven just needs to maybe work on like a few other things, just gain experience. I don't think there's a fast track. I think if you played less than 20 games, then it's going to take a bit of time.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought the challenges he made today were really important. At times they may have appeared rash, but they were clinical. We got one or two wrong, but it didn't impact us, thankfully. And crucial interventions, really important interventions from him. So you're happy for him.
Yeah, Tyrone says he lost the duel with Dalot. Caicedo almost scored a shot because of it, and said that well, no one's going to doubt that he's obviously at the start of his career, and he's gonna have a lot of things to do. Say taller than Dalot, they're standing side by side. Heaven is, he's a big guy, isn't he? That when you look at it, I think with Heaven, it's about sometimes you look at what they need to work on. He's just that's why I think Maguire would be quite a good mentor for him. That's got the experience, whereas Heaven. How many times have Manchester United had centre backs at a 19? I mean, I think it's almost never, isn't it? We bought centre backs like Bruce that were established. We bought Pallister established, and I think like Yapstam, Johnson established Premier League, like say quality, like top quality centre backs. I don't think this is the first time I think I can ever remember United actually going for young centre backs. The only other time was PK, but he just didn't get any games. And then
I was just going to say on this, I think it's a blessing in disguise that Euro was injured. I think I'm not sure how that partnership may have worked out in this Chelsea match. I think Maz coming in alongside Heaven has worked out really, really well.
Yeah, so what mark are we going to give him overall?
I'm giving him 7.
There's so many. There's like 5, 6, 7s. There's a 9. I think the 5 and 9 cancel each other out. It might be 6 or 7. What do you want to go for?
I'm going 7.
So I think we'll go 7. I'm guessing that. Okay, they've gone 6.2, not far away. Do you know what? Somebody messaged me during the match as well. So I don't think Jules will mind me saying this. He said, "How many times is Luke Shaw going to let Neto cross?"
Oh my God, that second half was just.
My response was, lots more, more. Luke Shaw. Okay, we still got the clean sheet, so I think you can give credit. Like, okay, obviously stopping crosses hasn't been something we've been great at for a while, and I'd say even on the other side as well. Actually, stopping people shooting from distance is something we've been quite bad at. But what do you reckon, like Luke Shaw? I mean, we did win the game. He's almost gonna. Is he gonna start every single game? We've actually gone through. We've run out of centre backs, and Luke Shaw's having like one of these. I mean, I know there's a World Cup. It's a World Cup year. Does that give like Luke Shaw superpowers? Is it the opposite of kryptonite?
It's madness, isn't it? I mean, he doesn't play for about 9 seasons. Now he's turning up every game.
If we had a World Cup and a European Championship like every single year, would Luke Shaw always be available?
Probably.
I don't know. I think he's like the opposite of Darren Anderton. He used to miss every single game and then suddenly be fit at the end of the season for an international tournament. I'd be thinking, what's Anderton doing in the team? I thought he wasn't available. He must have played like 2 games for Spurs and like 2 or 3 games for Liverpool. He walked straight back in. I'd be annoyed if I'd played well all season.
Yeah. He had an interesting game. I thought at points he was combative, but then there was one point where he sold Heaven short. They nicked the ball, and that could have been a goal. He was playing sideways football. He was passing the ball to Heaven when he should have been taking forward. There was a much more safer option going in front of him. He was putting the ball back in the danger zone. I didn't like it from him. I needed him to be more commanding. In that second half, he did my head in. Where was he? Neto was just like pinging balls in for fun. You could have put a blindfold on Neto, and he still would have got those balls in. was crazy.
It concerns me, I think, with this. Like sometimes Luke Shaw, that seems to be, I don't know. You can say at the moment there's no competition at the club. I think the club are looking at left backs. We tried to buy a left back from Sheffield Wednesday, and I was thinking that's not going to kick Luke Shaw out of the team. That's one for the future. So I don't know. I'm a bit concerned about that position. It's not as critical as midfield, but it's one where, yeah, it's lucky. Can you imagine if Luke Shaw had an average season fitness wise? We'd be really kind of like struggling. And also, Stephanie said 7 away from 500. So make sure if you're new, please click that button and click the notification bell as well. Massively appreciated.
And even with Estevao was having a lot of joy with him as well on that wing. All Chelsea's play came from the wing. They couldn't go through our midfield, because we had our maestro there. But yeah, it was all through the wing, and our fullbacks didn't really handle them. That's where all the joy came from. And Shaw just was so lacking. I want him to be good. I see parts of his game where I think you've got the grit, you've got the combativeness. You sometimes really make a good, strong tackle, and then suddenly you see the rest of it, the other side of his game, and it's just really poor.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like 4 from Mo. Ollie Biscuit Barrel says game was good apart from fullback, fundamental purpose, stopping crosses. Yeah, so he's giving him a 5. And what mark would you give him tonight? We've got anything from like a 7 through to
I'm going to give
6s.
I'm going to give him a 4 because the amount of balls Neto was allowed to put into that box, unacceptable. Because they could have won quite easily. We could have lost that game.
So 6 from Neil, 5 from Gregory. I think maybe on average mark, it might be 5 closest. I think I'm guessing that he'll get less on this. Actually, pretty close. Yeah. Pretty close for Luke Shaw. Now Casemiro, he's going to Miami, isn't he? That's a done deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I always thought he'd end up there. I thought that would be the perfect place for him. I could see him in Miami. I think he'll play well and he'll have a great time.
Yeah, you're right about Casemiro. He could play 90 minutes.
Yeah,
did play 90 minutes. Probably. Well, can you imagine if we had to bring on a certain Agate? We didn't do that.
he shall not be named.
No, I was going to say, yeah, the fact we had Casemiro and we had Mainoo, essentially like seeing the game out, which is what we wanted to see. And I think that was key, isn't it? Like you said, Chelsea had to go. This is something in terms of like midfield. Like Chelsea had to go around the sides, and that was probably key. It kind of meant that we couldn't see our centre backs maybe attacked, which is something that I think is good. I was hoping in the preview, I was saying like a compact structure, don't allow people through midfield. I thought Agate might not be as good because when you're winning the ball back, Agate seems to just be. I don't think he's very good when he does get the ball back. His passing is a bit erratic sometimes, but. Yeah, well, Casemiro, I'll go for a couple of comments just before we go into it and see what the overall kind of opinion is. Cody's gone with like a 6. We've got V saying 6 out of 10 did enough. And I think if I can take a couple more before we go into it. It's 6 did a job. Yeah, he did his job. It's like we've got Roy Keane in the comments. He did his job.
Good job.
Very, very happy to be proved wrong, says Chris. Dogged performance overall. Maz and Heaven were great. And say, my hatred for the fullbacks won't score low. 7 for each of the back 5 to Chris. So Chris is pretty happy with what he saw for like clean sheet. Can't argue, can you, with that? Mazraoui and Heaven, we said that as well. We thought they did well.
Yeah.
So 6 by his standards didn't exactly dominate midfield, says Makayu.
Yeah, I'm tempted to agree. I think that there are times where he gave the ball. It was lovely to see him clamp down Garnacho in the second half. He got hurried with the ball a few times. Not his best game, but ever present. Was important when they were throwing balls into the box. We needed him there to kind of clear balls. I think he did well. Not his best game. But I will still give him a 6.
Yeah, he's one player, isn't he, that Is he one of the players you're worried that he might possibly? What's the best way of putting it? You said that some players might give up a little bit towards the end of the season. The ones that are leaving because they wouldn't. They haven't what they've got to play for. And I think Casemiro is one of these players that he's a professional. He's not going to do that.
Yeah, I think he's a model professional. You always worry because you kind of think of their age and you think Brazil's around the corner, and he really wants to be up for that, be his last competition.
He might be on for I don't know what Casemiro's goal scoring record is throughout his career, but he must be this must be one of his better seasons. I don't think at Real Madrid he'd be particularly required. But when you have Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 60 goals a season, I think you don't really need Casemiro to try and score too much. I think his job would be a bit further back, but he must be up for. If Bruno Fernandes assists Casemiro again, it must be some sort of record.
They've got 8, haven't they, between them? And I think in the combination of him and Bruno, but I think it's his best season for United. And I mean, I'm a harsh critic. This is the Casemiro I wanted to see all along. I'm just happy we've got it this season.
Yeah, I was going to say with Cake, I think everybody agrees that this squad would not be the squad you have a Champions League campaign with and have success in the Premier League. You need to have certainly upgrades. Look at Newcastle. That's a perfect example, I think, of a team that gets European football. And I always like to say West Ham, when they had a better team, they almost got relegated winning the Conference League, didn't they? It is difficult. And I think no one's under any illusion that this team suddenly gets 3rd or 4th in the Premier League next season and does well in the Champions League. They've got a couple of 7s for Casemiro from Mo, and we've got 7 again from Tyrone. I would say I'd probably edge towards a 6 and say, no, he was effective. And Chris says we'll miss Casemiro. I think we will miss Casemiro. It's the experience he's got. And I was talking about this earlier today. People were looking at, say, Scott as someone that's another midfielder linked, and Tonali's a bit older. I think I'd be quite happy getting a midfielder that's a little bit older. I know that you've got younger players that can have a lot of experience, but I think Casemiro's European experience, I'd say Tonali's got that probably in terms of players linked. He's played international football, Champions League football. That would be maybe a decent fit. Do you think 6 is fair?
I think it is. Just on that comment, I think we'll miss this Casemiro. I wouldn't have missed the Casemiro of a couple of seasons ago. So I think it's really important that United just ensure they get a player that's going to be available, isn't going to get sent off all the time, and is going to be consistent. And I think if you hit those 3 targets, I think we can replace Casemiro. I think he's had a good season, but
is this the first year for a couple of years where we've actually had a better team shape, and Casemiro has been not protected, but the team hasn't been so vulnerable with the space in midfield. It seems to be one of the positives. I know people will say that we're not always the most exciting, the results aren't crazy, but you also have to look at it and say, where were we last year? We were finishing 15th, and we were getting run through by teams. And I said this point loads of times, and I'll keep making this point. Have we lost by massive scorelines this season? Maybe Brentford was the only one, but a lot of the games have been a bit closer. Even when we lose recently under Michael Carrick, it's by 1 goal. And there's a lot of closer games. We actually stick in games more when we're not playing well, something we didn't do earlier on. And I don't worry so much. I know Casemiro is going to be, you're going to need to replace Casemiro, but we also do need players that are able to play a couple of games a week. That no matter how big our squad is going to be, Arsenal don't get 1 game a week out of Declan Rice, do they? Caicedo can't just play 1 game a week. And I know Chelsea's, Liverpool certainly don't have players playing 1 game a week. You will rotate over the season.
Yeah, exactly. He's done himself proud this season, and I can wave him goodbye, with joy. But we're lucky that there are a plethora of midfielders that can come in this summer. It's just about getting the right ones.
Yeah, and the question is going to be, I suppose, is when we're talking about midfielders, is Mainoo going to be guaranteed starter? I'm going to say this. I think he probably is going to be a guaranteed starter in a lot of games next season. And I think Manchester United are looking at two routes. One is going to be who can play alongside Mainoo, but also say we're playing like 3 games a week or 3 games in like 8, 9, 10 days, which could happen. And also Mainoo does he has missed a few games with knocks, injuries. He's not going to start every single game either. So I would say you might be looking at this as well. And yeah, I think they need to, if they're looking for players that have a similar skill set, I think that's fine, because I think in my mind, if we don't sign 3 midfield players, then we're underestimating the scale of what we need. Like we do need to get at least a few in, and I think Mainoo, again, good performance. People are going to say positives, but we do need to replace Agate, because we were talking about Mainoo. If he wasn't available, we were worried, weren't we? And we don't want to mention Agate, but we were worried Agate might start. And so we need to get someone that is going to be better than, as good as Mainoo, probably. So that then if Mainoo doesn't have to play every single game, I'd hate to have a season next season where Mainoo has like a knock or something, has to play because we're worried about the drop off and then get an injury, because sometimes we have done that in the past.
With all the injuries, when we were looking at the team selection yesterday, I was never worried about the defence. The one worry I had was if Mainoo wasn't in midfield, because I knew that would really shake up how we performed. And to have him in midfield, he was prolific today. Man of the match, Mainoo. He was dipping into defence, and there was a lovely move in the 22nd minute. He kept dipping into defence. He played much deeper today as well, and he was in defence, protecting the back line. He was then rotating the ball, recycling the ball. He was going forward, being creative. I will say to anyone, go to the 90th minute. There was about 1.5 minutes of Mainoo where he just, give and go, defensive. He connected the attack. He got United out of trouble. He was always available. Just amazing. There were passes back and forth from him, about 7 or 8, and we just progressed the ball up. It started high. He then went into defence. He then went into the midfield. He then went into the attack. Lovely movement with him and Mount, with Bruno. Just great.
Do you think it's like the comparisons with Seedorf? It's just very good on the ball. You don't give away possession. You don't make mistakes. It's like Mainoo knows where he's passing. He's got that ability, like we said, calm under pressure. He had that 2 years ago, and it's something that is his strength. When people talk about him, he is going to be an important player, and that's what he does. I think when we're actually under pressure, there's certain players that, can you imagine if we had, I'll say Xerxes actually quite good in these circumstances as well. The ball sticks to him. He's actually quite good at progressing us up the pitch when we're under pressure. But I think with Mainoo, it does, like, you need him on the pitch. If you got Agate, the ball kind of, like, if you're pinging passes into Agate, he looks a bit hurried under pressure, sometimes gives the ball away, makes wrong decisions. And I think with Mainoo that, can you imagine if we did a graph this season and said, right, these are the games that Mainoo started, these are the games that he didn't feature in at all, and look at the results. Like the results, it would be pretty clear, wouldn't it, that we're a better team with Mainoo. But again, it's still like something that there will be games next season. Like Greg was saying, we need someone who can play in place of Mainoo. I think we need both. I think we need a Mainoo replacement and someone to play alongside him, because we're going to have a very different team. Like we're going to lose. Let's say Eriksen's gone. I think Collier might be gone. Agate should leave, and Casemiro is gone. We need to actually seriously buy a few players as a minimum. And 7s and 8s in the chat, which is really positive for Mainoo. You were very glowing in what you were saying as well.
Yeah, really happy with him. For me, he gets an 8. I think he had a great game today. Really did.
I'll never forget the quote that a certain manager, which I didn't think got the right idea about which player should play, that said, "You will know why Mainoo doesn't start." And I'm just thinking, you had no idea. 7 did some good things. I do think he can improve on his reaction time since United's tie-dye. And I think that, he's also going to improve. I think people look at, I would never say he's a finished product. So he's future United legend. So Chris knows what I'm talking about. Great footballer, future legend. It's still early days for Kobe.
He's only 20, you know, it's amazing. He's only 20, and yet he plays with such seniority at times.
Do you know what I think like, it's crazy? Like Toby Collier, 22 years old. I think when he was at Manchester United, I'm not sure if he's broken double figures. And Mainoo's been, if he'd, we were different head coach, different manager. Mainoo would have played so much football in the last few years.
Yeah.
As Ollie Biscuit Barrel says, knit things together against 230 million pounds of midfield opposition. Is that how much it all cost? I suppose Caicedo was 100 and was he 112 or something, and you know,
Enzo was 100, wasn't he, or so?
Yeah, Enzo was 100. I think Lavia was. I don't know what he was. He must have been cheaper, but yeah. No, between them, maybe that's it. Maybe like if you put the price in euros, those two are probably about that. Cake says we need a 1 in, 1 out, 2 in type of window. Of course we do.
I had to look more on Alex Scott after this afternoon. I think he could work alongside Mainoo, to be fair. I think if you play Mainoo deep and Alex Scott plays the 8, he's the engine. He'll be the creative person. He'll make those movements. I think they could work, Mainoo, Alex Scott and Bruno. I think that's a shout. There's a shout in that.
Yeah, how much do you pay for Alex Scott? Because I think
I'd pay 60. I'd pay 60, to be fair.
Yeah, prices. It's one of these things, isn't it? The price is going up and up. Do you think with this one that when we talk about transfers and Alex Scott as an example, do you think you're worth going in early and going, right, here's 60, and just thinking, what if the transfers go crazy? What if somebody drops over 100 on Anderson and everyone else goes, right, we want 70 for our midfielders now. The market goes, because it's the same for me. It's exactly the same as the amount of money that Worcester cost and the amount of money that Alanga cost, and it felt like prices were going out of control. When I saw that Alanga was about the same price as Cunha, I was like thinking, wow, we're so lucky there was a release clause there. So it also, Ekatike was massive money, Sesko, and all these players are expensive. I'm just wondering whether can you get a better deal if you go in quite early, and I don't think you'll ever get a good deal for Tonali. That'll be expensive.
I think someone's mentioned Stiller. I think if you could wrap up, say, a Scott and a Stiller beginning before the World Cup, then you've appeased your some of your midfield worries. And then if you want to go out and splash, you can. And then if you don't get that target, it's not a big issue. But I think sometimes you've just got to get those bodies in, and they're quality bodies that you'd be getting in. So I would push them to go for that. I think there are deals that are doable. Tonali is possibly doable because he's not going to the World Cup. But I just suspect that Newcastle will let that draw just because they'll be seeing where the market lands with the other targets.
So the comment about Kobe, I was thinking, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get a YouTube shop. I don't know how you make T-shirts, but I survived Damrin needs to be on a T-shirt somewhere.
I think we all need to wear it. Yeah, exactly. We all need to wear one.
I know. I'm not sure what graphic I'd have, but I think we need that. We need an I've survived Amrin T-shirt.
Oh my God. We've suffered at Amrin. Play on his words.
So Stephanie will drop in some facts. He's close to 100 appearances for Manchester United already. So wow. 100 appearances, and he will get better. He will get better. For people that are judging these players, like we're doing a player ratings for a bit of match discussion. It opens up the topics. It means we don't focus on just one player. We go through the whole team. But you always have to look at the context of like, he's 20 years old. He's going to improve, but he will make mistakes as well. So Scott and Stiller sounds like a 70s cop duo, but Scott and Stiller should. if we could get these two players for 50 million euros, I think is Stiller's price, which is about 42 million, about 100. I think this is what Vivell was talking about. Whereas if you look at 100 million for a player, then you could get two players for 100 million, and this would be quite a good shout for where you can spend the money. So that's
because then we're not panicking then, Rich. You know what I mean? And then we can focus on other positions too. You know, I think if we hold that trying to chase these, the big targets, I think that's going to be very long and drawn out. And I think those don't evaluate until after the World Cup. So I think that's
So Tonali loves Arsenal. Does he love Arsenal? I don't think Arsenal can spend £100 million on another player. Then
you never know. They're crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, you never know. If Tonali says he wants to join Arsenal, good luck to Arsenal paying that sort of money. And I would not, I wouldn't lose a second of sleep if we miss out on a lot of midfield targets, as long as we get the ones that we're happy as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I quite like getting him fairly young. Still is 25, and Scott's 22, and then you've got Mainoo's 20. That's a good age. And then if you want to get in another midfielder, which I suspect they may, you can go for someone slightly older, 24, 25 again. And it just means that for the next 6 or 7 years, you've got a solid base in your midfield, which we haven't had for over a decade.
So what mark are we going to give Mainoo?
Look, do you know
I was going to say to RK, yeah, you make a good point. I was going to say regarding Ruben Amorim, we're just talking about Mainoo not getting in the team. That's kind of my point regarding this. It was a difference of opinion. I think with Ruben Amorim wasn't really. I think what Ruben Amorim wanted to do didn't really work with the way Man United wanted to construct a squad. So the problem really was it started before Amorim joined. It started with hiring a manager and then providing him with players that essentially suited a manager like Carrick instead, a manager that wants to play a different way. So if Tonali loves Arsenal, he can go there. I don't think we've got the money to spend 100 million per player. So are we going to give Mainoo, what are the marks? I saw 7s, 8s.
I'm giving him an 8. I mean, the amount of times he nicked the ball off Chelsea too, and the amount of times he got us out of trouble, the amount of times he squeezed into the pockets with his dribbling. I thought he had a great game today. We really missed him at Leeds.
So let's Mainoo 8 for Jules. Let's give him an 8 then. Ooh, a 6 is
that's crazy. One. Yeah.
Brian and Mbeumo, you wanted to see him start, and Michael Carrick listened.
I don't know, Mbeumo. Do you know what? It kind of feels like he's left his first touch in AFCON. It really does. I do like him, but not his best game. There are amount of times we had opportunities and just didn't find the pass, or he lost the ball. He nutmegged Cucurella was my highlight in 6 minutes, and then the ball went out for a goal kick. Not his best game. I think he's industrious. His work rate, but even his work rate wasn't. Cucurella had him. So I'd give him a 5 reluctantly. I do like him, I like him, but not a great game at all. He's got to do better. Something's happening with Mbeumo where he's just not making the right decisions or taking his chances. So he needs to improve. The problem we have when you have a thin bed squad is that you can't rest players when they're not playing in form, especially in our attack. The other option is Ahmad, and Ahmad is off form too. So you've just got to play them through it and hope that they turn it around. But for me and Mbeumo, this has been going on for a bit too long now. It's not the Mbeumo that started the season, and the last 3 months haven't been great from him.
No, most people are saying the same sort of thing, that 5 out of 10. So crap since AFCON. He was like putting in dangerous crosses and things early on in the season, making better contributions, scoring more goals. And Mbeumo fallen off since returning to Africa. So he looks spent, says Ollie Biscuit Barrel. Is it like something? I know he's a very energetic player usually. Maybe he's just hitting the wall a little bit. I mean, we're kind of lucky. It does seem to be that since he's dropped off a lot, I think Cunha's been stepping up a bit, and Cunha's finishing the season stronger overall, like on average in games, and we're kind of lucky that we have got a bit more depth in terms of we've got more goal scorers in our front three. Bruno Fernandes has been pretty consistent with the chance creation, and remarkably so considering where he played at the start of the season. But no, I would say this, that he will always have a certain level of work rate and things. He'll always make good contributions on the defensive side. So you need to get him in the gym. Maybe it's like maybe some of the United have been playing a weird season where lots of time without games. Maybe we do need to actually fitness level might be dropping off a little bit as well.
He had a great chance in that second half. I think it was as the match was nearing its end, where we went on the counter, and he just fluffed his lines. And so we could have closed the game off then. It would have been done dead and buried 2-0 possibly. But I don't know what's the matter with him. My mate calls him Mbelly. I think it's a bit unfortunate, but I think he's industrious. I don't think he's non-energetic. He gets around the pitch. His touch is just failing him at the moment. Some of his decision making is a bit awry. Whereas when he started the season, he was bang on it. He was bang on it. He was the most exciting player to watch because he was involved in all the moves. He was conducting the moves, and he was finishing off the moves. So something's changed, and I can't quite put my finger on it because he's playing on the right wing today. You would hope that he would have a better performance than he has done as the striker, which isn't as natural to him. But no joy today again.
And Neil's going to give him a 7. And
wow,
when we've spoken about bringing a winger into United next season, is it to play right wing, left wing, or both wings? So more of a Yan Diomande and these are the two players linked. And I think a lot of people look at these two players thinking like with Diomande, you got a younger player that there's not loads to go on. And we did remember who's the really quick German player that's could play left, could play striker. I'm trying to think what his name is now, but there's a few players linked that are maybe can play more positions. I think we looked at Paqueta, who could play a few positions, but he went for decent money in January. Undayi is like one of these players that I think the numbers at Everton aren't great because of the way Everton play. He looked dangerous when he played against us, running at our defence. So I don't really mind. I think there's a lot of people that looked at him as maybe good value for money, but I think we seem to be looking for a left winger, but I think ideally you'd want someone that could play like more than one position. I think very, very good players can do that.
Yeah, across the line. And I think a lot of them can now. There's certainly the ones we're going for can all play across the line and can play as a second striker. So I think that's what they'll probably do, is to get in one player that can just play along all those positions. What do they call it?
I suppose it's like more. It's a bit different, isn't it? When you consider like what sort of players you're looking for, then players are a bit more. Some of the players that we're looking at, and we're deliberately looking at players that can be effective on left or right.
Yeah.
But so if you're looking at this one, you've got Lacey, Diallo, and Mbeumo. So enough lefty, says Danny. I guess that it's always good to get competition. There's no guarantee that I suppose Lacey will make it. And Diallo, maybe his future's not 100% certain. You never know.
They're all right wings, aren't they? They're on the right wing, Lacey, Ahmed, and Mbeumo.
Are they talking about left-footed?
Okay.
I suppose, yeah. I think United have got a mix, haven't they? Like when we're playing people on the right, people on the left. Don't forget Dorgu as well. So you could say we've got roughly similar amounts of people either side. And Danny said there'll be another left winger knocking on the door for the first team, but maybe that's the equivalent of having like an option like Lacey as well. I think if United seem to be really looking at trying to get a winger. I mean, compared with Chelsea, they've got about 10 times as many, so won't worry too much. And what we're going to give Mbeumo then, I've seen anything like 5, 6, and 7s in the chat today.
5 for me.
So if anyone wants to put any marks in before I forget what people put in, I think 6 might be an average, but if anyone's got any other marks they want to put in, make a contribution.
Neil gave him a 7. Cody gave him a 6. V gave him a 5. United Till I Die gave him a 5. And Chris gave him a 6.
Yeah, it's probably like 6, maybe 6 as an average. It's probably going to be 5 point something, isn't it? 4.8 is a little bit harsh. How many assists has he got now? How many for the record? Mr. Bruno Fernandes. You said yesterday, and you said earlier tonight. You said Bruno Fernandes will get his assist. That's one thing we're going to know.
Yeah. I think it was interesting. The first half wasn't.
I say there's an account just joined. I want to say welcome, called Bruno Fernandes. Says we went to Stamford Bridge, backline of 3 fullbacks, one young centre back who's not enough to. But not old enough. This is an interesting one. He's not old enough to buy alcohol in New Delhi. Probably you could say he's not old enough to buy. I'm not old enough to drink in. Do you know when I went to Vegas when I think I was 24. And just because of Americans' rules regarding drinking, I didn't have a photo ID driving license then. I could drive, but I didn't have a car. I just got one for ID instead of having my passport. And I like the fact that you get ID'd. It made you feel a little bit younger for a little bit longer.
I went to America. I got a fake ID. I was only 18.
In that case, I was old enough, and I just thought, cause it's just a weird thing, isn't it? When you're in the UK and you're 24, I mean, that I didn't look. I'm not going to say I look like Rooney. I didn't look like way older than I was, but I was just thinking, they don't know. They might think we're younger. They did think we're younger as well, for some reason. But no, thanks for tuning in. When I saw your name, I was thinking, have we just started on Bruno and then Bruno fans have come in as well and say, yes, I'm in the chat. I got an assist. Bruno always gets an assist. You've assisted the chat. You've definitely assisted the chat. So thank you for getting involved.
Helgi's in the chat.
So our young gentleman, Heaven and Mainoo, best today alongside Bruno, in my opinion, says Helgi. Helgi, you're welcome to jump on if you want. I might have sent you a link if you want to.
Yeah, jump on Helgi.
This is a celebration.
Yeah, I think in the first half. Good to see you, sweetheart, too.
I'm missing you.
It's understandable.
Bruno, an assist, like always, is becoming I don't know, boring now. Bruno Fernandes. Do you know what I like? When I'm going to start getting more people involved and start doing more streams with rival fans again, and we're going to get these match previews when we talk about what are you worried about. People must be worried that Bruno Fernandes is going to get an assist. He needs 3 more for a Premier League record.
Yeah.
How insane is it that he could have a Premier League record and he's played as a CDM for half the season?
Oh my God, it's crazy.
I don't think who's got the record at the moment. So I think Beckham's record was 14. He's gone past that for a United one.
So it's 24. It's Henry and who's the other chap?
Harry Kane must be quite high. He must have been up there one season.
So VDK. It's definitely
my guess would be that. If anyone knows who the record is that Bruno Fernandes has got to beat, then let us know. If it's a City player, that's an added bonus, to be fair. Yeah, I'll see if there's been some very knowledgeable people in the chat today, so hopefully we find out who that is. Fernandes 7, very instrumental. Like I said, Torstein put some good stats on very early on, didn't he? Saying that in terms of how many, what Bruno Fernandes did by the stats, he got the ball into the box with 9 times. By popular demand, we've got a man from Norway in the chat.
It is.
Back. Get.
He's there. It is Henry and KDB at 20. How are you, Helgi?
Oh, I need to. Oh, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah.
We could hear you singing earlier.
Yeah. Celebrate good times. Go on.
Oh my God.
No, yeah, I've been on a trip, not like a trip like that, for 2 days in Oslo. So I've been a bit, but I just my flight landed mid-game, so
wow.
I had to watch the game. Yeah. So I've just arrived back in S-Town, as we call it. But yeah, nice. nice win. You remember I said I was really worried about this game because Chelsea has been so poor, and I was saying it's so typical that this is the game they beat us. So yeah, I'm so pleased.
I know Chelsea didn't disappoint. I was hoping that they wouldn't be able to do anything, and they didn't manage to score. The Garnacho, so Garnacho is making Dalot look like prime Cafu.
I think Garnacho was man of the match today. The way he assisted Bruno through to that goal was amazing. But he was horrible.
Do you remember when we sold Garnacho for 40 million? How much do you reckon he's worth now?
5.
half a Kit Kat.
You know, when people okay, if you're a Garnacho fan, you won't like this next bit, I don't think. But when Garnacho left, and people saying, "Oh, Garnacho sees himself as a Cristiano Ronaldo trajectory. Ultimately, he wants to play for Real Madrid." I was thinking, he's not good enough to play for us at the moment. And then you're going to Chelsea. I think you can have the same career trajectory at the moment as Sancho.
And
it's not nothing personal. I think with Garnacho, you just need to realize that you started at United, and you need to work at your game, just improve. Like Chelsea fans were not happy when Garnacho was linked. I remember messaging them, and they were like annoyed when they were linked to him. And then when they signed him, then if you can make Dalot look like prime Cafu, there's something wrong with your football, isn't there? There's something wrong.
I feel like Garnacho is the literal definition of don't believe your own hype. Like if you look it up in the dictionary, that's exactly like when people talk about like sayings, when people say like cliches, but he is like the literal definition of don't believe your own hype, because he is like he scored like 2 goals in the U21s for United and did the soo, and then it was Ronaldo afterwards. It's like and also when he was at United, he was competing with like Anthony, Forson, Rashford, who didn't have not a good Rashford, let's put it that way. Sancho, kind or whatever. Like it wasn't the best of competition at the winger place, and then he goes to the team, I would say in the world, arguably, that has the most wingers, like Neto, Estevao. Now I can't mention more, but they have a lot of wingers, we all know.
Yeah.
So when he made that move to Chelsea, I was like, out of all the teams in the world, you picked the one with like 6, maybe 5 wingers that are expecting to start every game, and you go to that side as well. So yeah, it was always destined to fail, and I nenever like to see someone fail unless his name is Garnacho. So and Sancho.
Play at all. I thought Garnacho might not play at all, and it seems to be that we try and dump rubbish at Chelsea, and then they try and come back, like with the Sancho situation and Garnacho situation.
And they
but Garnacho came on quite early. Also, everybody's been in the chat saying that the record to beat is 20 assists. So thanks, Bruno. Thanks a couple other people as well that posted that information as well. Thierry Henry, Kevin De Bruyne got the record. Ozil must be like up there as well then, but that's going to be difficult. I'm sure that Harry Kane must be up there as well with like some good seasons.
Does Bruno have 18 now? Is it 18?
He is 18, yeah. So 2 level and 3 to break it.
Rich, I'm just going to put this on here, and you can decide because you're the big boss, the Godfather. But if let's say Bruno has 19 the next game,
yeah,
every game until then, I think I have to do a watch along live here, so that if he beats it,
oh wow,
we have that historic moment on air with a historic person. No, I'm just joking, but yeah, it would have been cool to like celebrate that moment together, because
it does seem amazing that it could be a Premier League record, like not a Man United record. He already has a Man United record.
I want him to get 1 at Brentford, and that takes him to 9. Then I want him to get 2 at Liverpool.
Yeah, I want to
break
beat.
it.
Oh my god!
He'll be playing at home as well.
Have you ever seen like NBA games when someone like hits a milestone or something, and then the crowd go like, Kobe Bryant, 30,000, like 25, the most points ever for a Laker, or you have things like that. So, and can you imagine like go to Anfield, that Man United fans just going, Bruno Fernandes, the most assists in the Premier League ever. And if it's a win against Liverpool, that would be perfect.
And
I just saw
the worst thing about it is that it's when WDB said that, it's just so typical of Bruno that it's just not like even wishful thinking. I wouldn't be kind of shocked because he is the guy who steps up in against the lesser teams, in the big games, in the mid games, in the Europa League games, in Switzerland, in Belgium. He turns up every time, big games, small games, friendlies, preseason. It's amazing. So yeah,
he put it on a plate for Harry Maguire to win the game against Liverpool early on in the season, and I don't know who got the ball through to Mbeumo early on. That might have been somebody else, but no, he's done it, hasn't he? And I'm thinking, like, I can't remember who got the assists in the Arsenal game, but it's literally every single game. What my favourite one might be the cross for Benjamin Sesko's header, the cross for Maguire's header, because it had a beautiful arc to it. Actually, the cross for Casemiro's header in the last game.
Every cross for Casemiro's headers, actually.
Yeah. But I really like the one where he runs on the counter-attack against Man City.
That's probably my favorite.
Open up some space, slides the pass perfectly.
Wow.
These are different assists, different things. Or when like he's pointing to Dorgu, he's going like, run there. That's slide it through. I don't know. I'm a big Bruno fan, so I apologize for that if people want to sell him. I think that, can you imagine, like, it's going to be a difficult conversation if he's broken a Premier League assist record and people are going, yeah, we'll bet him vet Bruno. I just don't know how. I don't
sell
know
him
how
by Hackney. Rebuild the midfield.
Have you been eating that woman again? I'm sorry, that's not. I'm talking about the voice.
If you know, you know.
Hey, Rob. Good to see you, Rob. So I'd rather Bruno scored a hat-trick, but helping Ahmed, Mainoo and Mbeumo and the goal droughts will do, I suppose. Yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes, his job this season is to break the assist record. He can score more goals another time. Do you know what I was going to say? I think you might have gone on the radar a little bit with that one. Do you think with
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself.
Kevin De Bruyne, Thierry Henry. It's a bit disappointing that there's two records held by a player at Arsenal and Man City to start with. So, we know Arsenal fans, don't we? Henry's assist record is probably a trophy for Arsenal fans. So,
professional.
There you go. 3 more in 5 games. Maybe just a quick question to people in the chat. Do you think that he's going to break the record?
I'll shave my hair if he doesn't.
Well, actually, if Bruno breaks the record, it's probably mean that Champions League football's locked up. You don't have to shave your head because Carrick will probably get the job.
The worst thing is kind of that what I realized like 2 days after that bet is kind of that I kind of want maybe a big name. It's not that I don't want Carrick, but I don't want Carrick. I will be fully behind him, but my bet is kind of like betting against myself, because if we keep Carrick, I keep my hair, but I don't want to keep Carrick, kind of. So I just realized that if I get it my way, I will get to shave my hair, but then again, it won't matter because I will be happy that we got, for example, Luis Enrique if we got that. So yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking it's a bit funny when we had Bruno. How many years have we chat? I think we signed him in 2020. Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Yeah, January. About that. It was like, I'm trying to think when we signed him. It was
2020.
I remember the game before we signed him. We played Burnley and lost 2-0. We were so rubbish. It was like a low point for me because I hate Burnley. I don't know what the reason is. I just couldn't stand them. And then,
but yeah, my point was, it's funny that not for the first time. You remember when we had Martial, Greenwood, the name which shall not be spoken, and Rashford. when we had those three and Bruno, you remember how amazing we were. And in the between that and now, remember how shit our attack was. But Bruno has never been that poor. It's amazing, actually, when you think about it, like how simple football can be. That we just buy 3 new attackers. Whoa! Suddenly Bruno beats the all-time assist record in the Premier League as soon as we get 3 decent attackers. It's pretty funny when you think about it, because just think of all the runs Anthony did not make, the misses he made, Højlund, the runs he did not make, and the misses he made. Rashford out of form, like the last seasons of Rashford. How many misses? Xerxes, Weghorst, like all the attackers we've had the last couple of years. It's funny how simple football can be, that we just buy Cunha, Mbeumo, Sesko, and suddenly, like the first season they are here, we sack our manager at Christmas, and still he breaks the all-time record for like Henry and De Bruyne. Like we just buy 3 new attackers. It's funny how, because I've always said like Bruno can't assist and score himself. Like he either scores or assists, but it's like he needs to have someone to assist to. And it's funny, you just bring in like the 3 first guys to bring in, and he breaks is going to break the all-time record. So he is going to do it.
I don't think anyone's going to be paying. Like, I think last season people thought that we were going to sell him for insane amounts of money. I mean,
I can see it through the crystal ball.
Yeah. So no,
Gypsy Helgi.
Yeah, what mark are we giving him? I think you gave him like 10 in the chat, Helgi. I've got 7 there. What do people think? So I'm going to go
8. I think 8 because if he does not do that, I think we lose. I don't think it's 0-0. I think that kind of knocked the team down. So I think that the action he did was kind of like he was assisting himself, because he was kind of dribbling and going down to the how do you say it, the line, and then a perfect cross as well. So I think like Cunha does well, because it's really easy to blast them over. But I think I have to give him an 8. It's away against Chelsea. If he doesn't do that brilliant move, and if Garnacho doesn't show for the nth time how shit he is at defending, I give 8 probably, because it's so decisive. We get Champions League. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think, Isabella? You're going to go for?
I'm tempted to give him 8 because I've given Mainoo an 8.
Yeah, I would give Mainoo and Heaven an 8, and Bruno and lots of 5s. There were some poor performances as well. So yeah, but I think Mainoo was.
We needed the goal today, so it was really important. 1 shot on target. So yeah, I'm quite happy to give him an 8. Look, everything that was positive went through him today. So yeah, and look, the man is just free off breaking the record. How can you not but give him an 8? You know.
Facts, bro.
Yeah, looking at any of the marks, I think we'll go for that one based on our average marks. And Mathis Cunha, I sent you a message as soon as he scored. I think I sent a message to Isabel and said he scored again. That people were, I think they were overly critical at the start of the season. I'm still seeing like that. I saw something yesterday that made me laugh. It was just a rubbish take on Twitter where they said, "Yeah, Cunha's been completely inconsistent all season." I was thinking, that's rubbish for a start. He's just been getting better and better. He's had some very good performances in matches. Match winner tonight. Not our best performance of the team for sure, but look how many more goals we scored this season. This is what we were saying that last season when we signed Cunha and Mbeumo, Sesko. I think myself and everybody else that was guests and things were looking at going, if you give Cunha the same amount of chances Garnacho has over a season, so many more goals. We were talking about. We're talking about the assist record on Bruno. Do you remember when we had Marcus Rashford putting it on a plate for Xerxes and Garnacho for about 5 or 6 games, and they scored none? And people going, "Oh, he's not getting many assists, is he?" And I was thinking, like, Bruno's not getting many assists. Like, you've got to give Garnacho 15 chances to get a goal.
Yeah, I agree.
He had a mixed bag today, Cunha.
Yeah,
Just
he had.
that first half where he missed the shot. No, the ball came off his foot, and then he ran into Fofana and got a yellow for it. I just kind of looked at him. I was like, you can't be doing that. And the goal was great. I think the goal was brilliant, but there are things that weren't part of his game that's normally part of his game. I think sometimes he keeps slipping. That's another thing I've noticed about Cunha. He needs to change those boots. He slips almost literally every game I've seen him now.
Man's been talking to Gerard.
Poor first touch, I thought. He slipped again. He got the yellow. He got subbed off for Mount. Normally he plays a full 90. Not his best game, but for me, even at his worst game, he still gets the 7 for me because he scored a goal. He scored the goal at the end of the day. Without that goal, we wouldn't have 3 points.
I can never give an average 6 to a player that scores the match-winning goal away at Stamford Bridge. I'm not going to be that spoiled brat ever. Like, I have to sometimes hit myself in the head. Like, we have been spoiled being United fans. We can all agree, but sometimes I have to be like, most teams in the world are like, but only United fans can be like, go away from winning against Arsenal or Chelsea away and be like, Casemiro was poor in the midfield today. That's only kind of United type of thing. But that's why we love this club, though. We have higher standards, and we should have higher standards than everyone else. And that's not us being cocky. That's our history. So I get it. But yeah, I'm never going to give a 6 to a guy who becomes a match winner at Stamford Bridge.
I was thinking, like, when you were saying that, and this reminded me of another player Manchester United used to have. And the two things that made me think of him was, I think it might have been, I'm pretty sure it's Jago Forlan that Alex Ferguson said, put different boots on in one match. He didn't, and he was all over the pitch. He missed a couple of chances and then changed his boots, and Alex Ferguson didn't start him for the rest of the season, moved him on. But also, as a positive, I remember Jago Forlan scoring an amazing last-minute winner at Stamford Bridge to beat Chelsea, probably about 20 plus years ago, must have been 2002-ish, around then. Yes. And I was thinking, with Cunha, I think everybody looked at him at I think when you look at him at Wolves, he was levels above Wolves players. And actually, when we played against Wolves, he was levels above a lot of our team when we played against them last season. I think people expected then him to be like the best player on our team. I think it's just taking a bit of time because he has to adapt to, like Stephanie said, everything goes through Bruno. Cunha's not he was the most important player at Wolves. It's a bit different at Man United. I think he's just got better and better. It's had, not his best game today, but his average game is much better than someone like Erasmus or Xerxes or Garnacho we had last season. Yeah, I think that's the difference.
His worst game is probably like not like Garnacho's best games because like he had good games. I'm not going to argue about that, but yeah, it's
like the consistency, isn't it? I think you have one chance. And someone like, if you give Van Nistelrooy one chance, you'd expect him to be scoring or hitting the target. And it felt like Man United last season, they might have given Xerxes and Garnacho and Rasmus.
Oh, it was so horrible.
Chances or something, but we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have got this win last season because we would have just been like they wouldn't have gotten the game at all.
And also, if I can say about Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko and stuff. If you really look at it, like the people who expect to see the Cunha at Wolves, to see the Mbeumo at Brentford, etc., if you flip that logic, you kind of is like that kind of means okay, Cunha 20 goals, Mbeumo 20 goals, Sesko 20 goals, and Bruno insane. Kind of everything goes like that. We are legit the best team in the world. So the logic kind of doesn't make sense because the goals have to be split. The passing to Cunha, he won't get the ball as much, and Mbeumo won't get the ball as much. It'll be more split in a good team because by that logic, like, okay, I buy the best attacker from Serie A. I buy the best from La Liga because he did it. And you put them all in the side. It's not like they automatically then, okay, so Cunha 20, and Mbeumo had 20, that means they're scoring 40. That's not the.
No, I was thinking that you had
that's
to.
not the real world, mate.
You had to drop you had to take a third off their goals because they weren't taking any penalties. Like Bruno Fernandes is taking all the penalties.
For example, and the teammates are always like, imagine Wolves struggling in the game. They're always like, every pass is to Cunha or every pass is to Mbeumo at Brentford. If we are struggling, it's pass to Cunha, Sesko, Bruno. Like everything is split. And when we are leading.
Yeah, no, I'll come to that in a minute, Mikhail. It's an interesting observation.
Pull at it.
Do you think when you look at Brentford, and I know a couple of Brentford fans that are sometimes watching, and you look at their striker at the moment having a great season, and he will be taking, I think he's taken, I'm not sure how many penalties, but I'm guessing like 7, 8 penalties or something.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how many has he got? He's doing really well, but you're not going to get those. If you put him in Manchester United, then you'd have to lower it by, like, say, 7 or 8 as well. But also, Bruno Fernandes isn't going to cross to him every single move. He's going to be putting in crosses to other players. He's going to be putting in crosses to different. He's not going to get that many chances. But
it's like
it does
if you
mean
put
that
Igor Thiago at Brentford, you can see with Mbeumo leaving, boom, Igor Thiago. Yeah. I can guarantee you, if Igor Thiago goes to, let's say, Atletico Madrid, Alexander Sørloth will score some, Griezmann will score some, Alvarez will score some. Oh, Igor Thiago floppy has only had 14 goals. It's football. Like when it's like in Barcelona as well. Like you've always had at Real Madrid, and they always like split the scoring, because if football was as simple as like you buy someone who has scored 20 to your team and he will score 20, you can just add goals like that. It doesn't work like that. So I think when people are like, you expect Cunha to have 20 goals, you expect Mbeumo to have 20 goals, you expect Sesko to have 20 goals and Bruno to have about 10 goals. It's like, if we get what you described there, we are by far better than PSG, Bayern München, Real Madrid. We are the best team in the world.
I think with this one as well, that Brentford are an organised team. So they had Luca Toni getting 20 goals. Then they had Mbeumo getting 20 goals. And now they're going to have Thiago getting 20 goals. And it's just, okay, Brentford have a good way of getting a lot of chances to a striker in their team. They're well set up. And it's going to be that if someone buys Thiago for 70 million, 80 million, Brentford will put another player in that position and they will probably get a similar amount of goals. They have a good way of playing. I just say, do you remember, if you cast your mind back to last summer, and I've got a good memory for this, because when we looked at Cunha for the 62.5 million release clause price, I thought very good value. Yeah. There was a question mark from some people that said, does he have an attitude problem? Does he have a disciplinary problem? I think he might have got a red card at some point. And I don't think we've seen that at all this season, have we? I can't think of any instances of that.
I think what did you say? Attitude? I think his attitude is, and I know both Rich and WeDB agrees with it. I think it's not the attitude problem. I think attitude is like one of his best abilities. I think his attitude is one thing that I love the most about him as a player. His attitude. So yeah.
Yeah, me and Stephanie are on the same page today. Literally, she's like typing what I'm thinking, which is brilliant. I could just stop talking and just like put comments on the screen and say Stephanie can be my narrator ahead of time tonight. No, I think with Cunha's been like great, and I think if we signed other players, like you have to forget what they've done in their team and look at what they're going to be doing at Manchester United. The main thing is the floor of our team is like risen loads, because all these front players, and this is like I keep saying, all these front players have a massive goal threat. I saw this and said, Cucurella, all I can say about Cucurella is he just annoys me loads. I can't give you one specific reason. It's just, I think it's like, he does some like fouls he gets away with sometimes. He dives a lot. He's a good player, but he just annoys me.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those where sometimes like artists in Norway and they pop off, and someone is like, why don't you like that artist? I'm like, I don't have any logical good reason. I just don't like his face. I don't like him. And it's always been that way with Cucurella. it's never based on the footballing ability per se. It's always been like I just don't like. And yeah.
But we're going to give Cunha 7. Wizabet is not feeling great, so he's just going to have to step out. I'm not sure if he'll come back, but he might do. Let's go through the next. So, say stepping up when needed. And I take the point as well that somebody said that we didn't get loads of goals tonight. Yeah,
but
we
I think
didn't
it's,
create
I
loads
think
of
it's
chances
crazy.
tonight.
I think it's crazy if you look at the rating we are given that he has gotten a 6. I think to get an average 6 when you're a match winner against at Stamford Bridge, it is a bit, doesn't give a bit like spoiled energy, like a spoiled brat energy that like he scores the winning goal away at Stamford Bridge 1-0 and we are like 6 average. I think that's a bit, but yeah. Oh, I think my boy was a bit, I would say 5. But it was a bit hard. It wasn't that game for us. Today was the game where we just, the result. We dug deep about Sesko. I felt like as a team, we dug deep. And yeah, you don't need to be a former striker to know this wasn't like, we could have had Erling Haaland on top, Van Nistelrooy on top today. I think today was never like about the strikers game anyways, but I will give a 5.
I was most concerned going into this game. I thought we'd have a goal threat throughout the game, like whether or not I didn't think we'd necessarily be dominant. Put it this way, there are a lot of things that happened, the way the game went, I wasn't surprised by. Chelsea would have more chances. I thought Chelsea would have more possession.
Yep.
The thing I thought was key was, can we actually play well out of possession and not give Chelsea chances? And if we kept, I said this, honestly, I did a post, like a pre-match stream with Readers Are Better. We did like a 40-minute stream before the game started.
Oh, cool.
Prediction was, well, I think it might be a draw, close game. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet though. And the fact we did was, I said I'd be impressed, and we did, and I was impressed by that one. We're going to go for Sesko. And so Sesko 5 from Rob, got 5 from Ollie saying disappointment when starting games. This is probably the game where he's not going to get loads of service. But I didn't mind having Sesko starting in this match.
Yeah, but it's like I said the other day that I feel like when we discussed about Carrick, one criticism I have with Carrick is when I just feel like every time he starts him or bench him, I'm not agreeing with him. You get what I'm saying? I feel like he's always benching him when he should start him, and he's always starting him when he should have benched him. Today, I thought we go with the exact same formula that worked against Arsenal and City. Today, we use the Mbeumo, Ahmad thing that was so good against in a way against Arsenal and City. So today, I'm a huge Sesko fan or like believer. Like I believe in him, but still young. I want another striker. But today I would have benched him and had Mbeumo and Ahmad. And I was saying this before the game as well. And I feel like when I'm like, today would be the perfect day for Sesko, then he benches him. So that's kind of a critic I have for him. I feel like he's never reading the game, the outcome of the game, because he always like. That's why when he comes off the bench, it looks cool when he comes off the bench and scores a winner, and he has like an impact. But people always you can spin that too. But he has scored if he had started in that game? So it's I think it's very naive to start Sesko today. I would have started Mbeumo.
I think he's one of these players that I keep getting asked when is Sesko going to regularly start. I mean, he started tonight. I think it's going to be something United work towards about getting Sesko more effective when he's starting. And Mackay says it's a hard one to rate. People are giving like 5s or 6 in the chat today, saying is 5 harsh, but he does need to get better at feeding off scraps. This is one of those games where he maybe needs to try and get into the game a bit more. It's a tricky one, isn't it? That I don't want to be too negative because sometimes.
But I just want to the chat as well. I'm not going to like tell you what to think, But no, I'm just joking. But yeah, I said but it's like I don't like. He's not that good a starter. He's better off the bench. Just take that thinking out of your head, kind of, for 1 second, and think there are some games he should be starting, and there are some games he should be on the bench. Like some games, it's better for him coming off the bench. Don't think like, is he a starter? Is he not a starter? Think that every game is kind of different. So I see it that way.
When we did the preview like yesterday, and you can check, though I think I might have disagreed with the better on this point, and the videos there people can look at. And I think Wizardbear was like keen on Sesko starting. My thought was a little bit like, and I think my phrase was, maybe at the start of the game we might take this a bit like we did against Arsenal, where we keep our defensive shape. And I thought that maybe Sesko might get a bit more isolated. I thought Mbeumo and Managerial on the pitch might provide a bit more, in terms of like pressing a bit, running back into
100%.
shape. And that was kind of what I saw. I did say I don't mind. I'm not going to be thinking, oh, what a mistake, because I think that it's difficult to say. And I think Benjamin Sesko, it's kind of 50-50, isn't it? Because I did think that Sesko can come off the bench and provide an outlet if we need one, and we've seen he's very effective. But also, I don't mind Managerial coming off the bench, providing pacey. It's one or the other, isn't it? We haven't got the squad to have, say, 3 or 4 bench options that can come on and impact the game. So you have to pick and choose. It's just tricky, but I think saying like he's like, I don't think he's as bad as Rasmus, but I think this is probably a game where he's going to get more isolated and we get less options.
Can you put on the United till I die, the longer comment he put on?
Is this the one?
I mean, for the money. It starts with. I mean, for the money is one of the newest comments. Yeah, he said, I mean, for the money.
The software kind of updates in bits. I'm just scrolling through it. So
he said, and how long he's played now. He should be getting more starting role by now. I don't understand what United doing to his development. Well, like I said, Carrick starts him when he shouldn't start him, and he benches him when he should have not benched him. Like for Arsenal and City, when we did the Mbeumo Ahmad thing, it worked great. And then, and I believe in Sesko, but every time I've been, this game is perfect for Sesko to come off the bench. Then he suddenly starts him, and it doesn't suit him. And then, so I think actually this one, even though it might be not popular to say, but I think this one is kind of on Amorim and on Carrick. Like Amorim for being Amorim, and Carrick for, it's not only me saying that. Like every time we like Rich said, it makes so much more sense for everyone in the world to start Mbeumo today and Ahmad, to have that pressing, and then for in the 70th minute or something, Sesko comes on when the game is opened up a bit more. And I just feel like, don't be too harsh on Sesko, because you must understand, Haaland, like the best strikers in the world can look really shit in any team with good players around them. Strikers are like kind of like they're so that
I think we've had like
if strikers are the most, to put it this way, strikers, and we are United fans, so we know this. Strikers is the most dependent role on the pitch. Like it doesn't matter if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, Haaland, Lewandowski. If a striker is the kind of only one. If you doesn't score, you're a shit striker. But how do you score? You need to get play to your strength, played in. If Sesko, for example, was the difference between him and Højlund, right? Højlund didn't look like a Premier League player. That was first of all. Second of all, he missed so many things. He did so many like basic things that you would have been disappointed in like lower league teams. The way he finishes, the way he chooses to run. You could almost see there's so many differences between if Sesko was like losing the ball every time he got it, shitty movement, missing targets all of the time when he should have scored, coming alone with the keeper and missing, then we could have had a conversation. But it's just like, I'm not in the defense attorney for him or anyone. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
I'm not
think with
saying
this
that, but I'm
one,
just strikers need to be played good, and I don't think he's being played good.
yeah, I think something similar. I'm going to say I think part of the problem is regarding saying what the plan is and what the coaches are planning for him. Says United till I die.
Yeah,
I think
comment.
the problem is that he went from a team in Germany, different league, playing in a 2-striker system, which is what he was used to the Premier League, where under Amorim over say an 18-month period, you had Rasmus Højlund, who looked like he'd regressed from under Erik ten Hag. The amount of chances, amount of goals was dropping a lot. And I think there was definitely a few fundamental issues in how the team was functioning that we just didn't seem to be getting the striker involved. And it didn't matter if it was Rasmus or Sesko or if we had a different person playing up front. Yeah, we were struggling to get chances. And so people were questioning, saying, like, is the player bad or we're not getting chances? And I think with this one, what we're seeing with at the moment is there's a learning curve for Sesko, but I think it's that there wasn't much development or much plan early on in the season. And that probably means that it started more recently. I think if you look at it, we're probably expecting a lot. And he was expensive. I think we might see a massive improvement next season. But his goal scoring record is actually quite good. And if you look at Arsenal fans are having the same conversation with Gyökeres, and Gyökeres is getting benched. And that's a better functioning team that's being still, depending on next season, might win the league. They might, if they lose tomorrow, it might be different. But I think it's difficult. So I think 5 or 6 for this one. What do you reckon?
I want to give 5. But I just wanted to bring up again, United till I die is on fire tonight. I loved his comment there. If we can take up the honestly comment, because I actually think that is a very good idea for some games. That imagine us playing a 4-4-2 with Sesko and Mbeumo on top, and for example Bruno and Mainoo in the midfield. So this would be like against a little bit lesser team. But I thought it was a good idea from United till I die. Like, and Mbeumo and Sesko on top together could be like a good combo. So yeah, and then Ahmad on the right and Cunha to the left and Bruno and Mainoo. Very offensive, but I think it could work for certain games.
We can talk about the players. 5. We'll just go through these ones. On with Dalot. Let's just check about minutes for like some players as well, so we can go through substitutes a bit quicker then. But no, I do you get the feeling that Sesko will just develop a bit quicker after we got through the rest of the season, pre-season? Because it feels a bit like we changed a lot of things in the way the team was expected. Look at the difference between Casemiro at the start of the season and the last sort of part. Look at the difference in Bruno. I think the team's everything's playing like Mainoo wasn't in the team. He is in the team. I think lots of things have changed.
Yeah, and also with the striker, like I think it's so. I feel I say this about every position on our team, but like I feel it's really important to get a left back. I feel it's really important to get a second striker, because like United till I die again says, like, we failed Martial. We run his body to the ground. By the way, like that man. Like he was so, I feel like we just failed so many expensive strikers, young strikers, because we get Martial. He's like 19, and we're like, you only hope you're starting every game, and if you don't play excellent every game, we are going to slag you off.
Oh yeah, I think the problem was like Anthony Martial did that move against Liverpool, unbelievable. Where he just when he did that, I was like, wow, we've got like Thierry Henry. For us.
So he was 19. Remember when you were 19, Rich? We were shit kids, and he scored that goal, and we were like, now we expect you to be prime Henry, 38 games out of 38 games a week. And then we run his body to the ground, and we do the same with Højlund, because I think Højlund wasn't good enough in the end at all, but we did fail him regardless. And this is the effect when everything is on Sesko and he is our only striker. But if we had two, when he is not performing that well or whatever, we can just put him on the bench. No one talks about him, and we focus on the other one.
I know the thing is that we have no other striker. It's the most crazy thing for Manchester United. That do you remember when
one striker?
we
have 5,
4, and
the 99
Mr. B,
season, for example, we had.
We did do a stream before the game and after the game, and the Manchester United fans. Let's be honest. Like, I know Mr. B is a Brentford fan, but we only get to play like once a month. We want to enjoy we want to enjoy this. Like, we play football once every 3 weeks, and we win like once every like 2 months. We need to embrace this.
We're like being at what is a bachelor party, like we never want to go home.
Yeah, we got like international jet set. Helgi's like come in to like
straight from the plane.
Off the plane straight into the
stream. That's a low score for Ahmad.
Yeah, we've gone from like 4 rotating strikers to like rotating 1, haven't we? Like, who's the other one?
2? Like, who are you imagining? I think it might be the Bears. I think that was a typo.
Yeah,
we can say 1. I can accept 1.5, and we can count that as Xerxes. I can accept that.
Yeah, I don't think we can count false 9 as a striker.
No, he's 9. He's 9.5, like he said it himself. So he could be 1.5. Yeah, it was amazing at 99 when we had, was it Sheringham, Solskjaer? Didn't we have 5 at that time, or was it 4 in 99 season?
I think we had 4 then. We had Dwight, York and Cole were our strikers, and then
Sheringham,
Solskjaer. We brought them off the bench if we needed to win a Champions League.
Every one of them could start. That was the thing. All those 4 could start. And now we have 22-year-old Slovenian and I was going to say like a beach ball player in Xerxes, but yeah, I really love him. But every time I watch him, I smile because he is just so chill. But I hate him being so chill because this is like elite football, and he's always looking like he's on a vacation playing.
He looks like he's like playing in the
testimonial,
garden, doesn't he? And because he's so tall, other people think.
It's so hard to dislike him, though. I really like him, but it's just like elite football is not for him. Like the highest tempo, like pressing and everything. I just feel like he wants to go to Brazil and play for Sao Paulo and score like 10 league goals for Athletic Mineiro or something. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I see him like holding hands with Depay in Brazil.
There's some other question actually we can maybe talk about Carrick in a second. Lucas says, great win. Yeah, definitely great win for us, Luca. Big game for you guys tomorrow to try and get over the line. And there's been a couple of people asking, saying, if you're allowed, like, and I think the question was like 3 most important signings. And I said, I think it's going to be like midfield, possibly for our most important signings. Although a backup striker would be quite nice as well. And RK said, Makayo said, if you're only allowed 3, say, I think if you're going to go for, what are your priority signings, Helgi? Like 3 signings. I'd probably go for at least 2 midfielders. Yeah,
me, it's midfield striker. And I know the striker, but it's very hard to put away the left back thing because I know that people don't think it's a problem. But we have a bit short-term memory as well because it has been a problem for 10 years. And now it's just not a problem for this season with Shaw. But imagine Shaw playing this and going to the World Cup. His body is going to be shattered. He's going to play at least maximum 2.5 games the whole of next season. I promise you. And a virtual fist bump to you, by the way, Mikayo, because I'm the biggest DeMarco fan you ever find. I've been talking about him for years, wanting him to United. So, good shout. I 100% agree. I would have gave.
He's on like some like crazy assist run as well, isn't he, DeMarco?
Yeah, but his personality is everything we need. Like personality, assist. Yeah. Like a 28-year-old who has seen it, done it, ups, lows, come from lower leagues, been in highs. he is my 100% dream signing for the left back, and I think Shaw will be just damaged next season. Like, his body will be crushed for playing so much football, like he has played this season. So I'm just remember I said this, like, next year, like, Shaw will be. He hasn't played this much football probably in 10 years for United or whatever. Maybe one of season here or there with Solskjaer or something. But yeah, I predict he's going to have an awful next season. And like Stephanie says, I don't either think he will get picked. And then he will stay at home in the summer and eat Big Macs and come back fat and get injured. And we would be like, oh, Shaw's the good left back in the world when he's fit. And then we have to play Malaysia or something. And yeah, so I think the left back situation, like, who was it who said it again? Yeah, Mikayo. I think the left back situation is one of those that you don't see as a big problem right now, but it will easily become a big problem. Because if you look at next season, if Shaw, his body will be crushed, and then we have to play Amrabat and get him on loan to play left back again. So I think the left back and the striker situation is actually more important than people think, because everything will be on Šeško next season for Champions League and Premier League, and people will expect him to be better in those two competitions, and we have only one striker for a whole season. And Shaw was played, he would be absolutely hammered next season, regardless if he goes to the World Cup or not. And we are playing the Champions League and the Premier League. So yeah, I think left back and striker is so important, but midfield is as well. We need a lot.
Yeah, I was looking at this and saying, I don't know if you were in the stream I did earlier, where Man United were looking at Alex Scott as an option and like Tonali, and there's all these midfield options. And I think when people talk about it, I just think you have to be realistic. And I think actually at the start of the stream, and we were talking about it when we talked about Mainoo and said, right, options that you could get, you could maybe get Alex Scott and Angela Stiller for about 100 million pounds roughly. If they want 65, but you could get that down to like 55 to 60-ish possibly. And the Angela Stiller might be about 50 million euros. It's about 40 million pounds. You could get that possibly. And then I think that's why you look at it and think, if you're looking at getting one player like Tonali, that might be 100. These are estimations, but it might be that United could go down the route of getting those two players. And I feel quite relaxed about it, that we're going to buy some midfield players. I don't know which ones.
Yeah, I'm chill about that. But like United till I die say, Lord have mercy, this squad in multiple comps is going to get battered. I'm a bit positive person, but I'm also like,
really,
I like to be wary. It's like Maguire is not having those long stretches, but the last 2-3 years he's picking up injuries all of the time, like Niggles, and he's not getting younger. And we have Shaw, and we have Licha, and we have De Ligt. Dalot is always fit, but yeah, I just feel like, for example, with Shaw, because everything is going okay now and he is fit right now, we are just putting that, okay, but that isn't such a big problem. But it's just not a big problem because it isn't a big problem today. But it's like when you run a business, you need to predict things that can happen. It's like you have to have the fire extinguisher, just because, but it hasn't burned in the building yet. But that doesn't mean you don't buy the fire extinguisher.
No, exactly. I was thinking that with this one, the reason why I was a bit worried about Chelsea game, nothing to do with the teams, was just it was the first time we played. This is the first time we played 2 games where the second game is less than a week after the first one, and we've actually won it. Because I think the only 2 times it's happened before, we've lost those games. And I think Chelsea obviously were quite bad. We're going to do like in terms of like man of the match. Do you have an opinion about man of the match? Because I think Aiden Hedman's getting a lot of comments here. I think the other one was probably Bruno Fernandes might be the other person that
minus Mainoo actually.
And Mainoo as well.
because I felt like the last game against Leeds, it's like when Mainoo plays, sometimes it's not like every time it's like, wow, he's insane. But like I think it was you said it, Rich, like when you take him out of the team, you really notice him. Oh, it was we'd so better. It was one
if
of
someone tells me they don't like Mainoo, I just say, imagine you see Ugarte warming up. What's your reaction?
Yeah. So yeah, I think he was like Mainoo was good today, but the reason why I'm giving him a man of the match is if you took him out and Ugarte for this team, you would understand why I give him a man of the match. Like he calmed it down when I felt like the team was a bit stressed. And Casemiro, and credit to Mainoo, because today Casemiro wasn't good. It wasn't Casemiro and Mainoo was good. I think Casemiro was pretty poor today, and Mainoo was good. So I actually think like credit to Mainoo. And people must remember, I'm going to double check his age, even though I'm quite sure.
He's 20, isn't he?
He's 20, guys. He's 20. People are talking about him like we have signed him for £100 million and he's flopping, and he's a 21-year-old that's come from Real Madrid. 20.
You know, you missed like an interesting conversation in the chat between Chris and Cake, where the conversation was pretty much, he's 20, and the reply was, I know. And it was just like, it's like me, it's for me, it's like he's one player that got, I don't know, he gets a lot of criticism, and that's why I tend to defend him and say, if you swap Mainoo for Ugarte, exactly, wins above replacement for American fans. If you swap Mainoo for Ugarte, then we get pumped. So he's saying Mainoo man of the match, but again, this is like a free vote. There's like everybody's gonna have a different view. I think it's I think Aiden Heaven did really well. Bruno Fernandes got another assist.
I love the tackle that Heaven. You probably have discussed it, you two guys. We deserve better, but the tackle that your Heaven made.
Jules loved that one. He said he was thinking that's a tackle from like a generation where you think you can definitely get away with those more, and thinking it's good.
I love that guy, but I think you love him a tidbit more than me. I didn't think it was possible, but you can get that card. I think it's cool, but yeah, I can't give enough praise to that guy. What have Arsenal been drinking?
Yeah, so Mainoo and Casemiro, it's a good combination at the moment, isn't it? That's why.
True. Good comment.
Yeah, that's why when this is another question. Actually, I'll put this question to you, Helgi, because this is one where I said my answer was like kind of avoided it a bit, but people were saying, do we need to replace Mainoo? Do we need to get someone that plays alongside Mainoo? And my answer is always that, based on what I've seen and what they said, is that Manchester United are looking for a player to play alongside Mainoo, but also a player that can play alternate with Mainoo as well, because of the amount of games we're playing. Yeah. So I think, that's why I think we need to get 3 midfielders and look for combinations. Alex Scott at plus.
Yeah, so I would buy like a Tonali, and then, for example, Stilla and Baleba, or something like one, not the 100 million, but one like 70. Yeah, maybe, for example, Stilla and Joao Gomez. I would have loved that, like Tonali, Stilla, and Gomez, and Mainoo. Those 4 are midfield. I would have been. That's a very good
You got good combinations, haven't you? Because people are looking at saying, if you got Anderson.
Point of departure, does that mean anything? Yeah. It's a good point of departure, but it doesn't mean no. That doesn't mean. I don't think that makes any sense in this starting point. Yeah, it's a good starting point. It's a good starting point to have those 4, I think.
I think some of them are some of them feel like definitely achievable. So when you look at it and people are concerned about maybe Manchester City buy one player, I just look at it and think, well, if Manchester United want Gomez, or they want Angela Stiller, or they want to get, say, Alex Scott, I could probably list 4 or 5 players that if Manchester United want them, they can probably get them. Yeah. And then there's a couple of others that are maybe a bit more questionable. But no, and if Manchester United actually got 2 players in early on in the transfer window, maybe that helps get other deals done as well. So potentially we might see a bit of momentum. That if I'm a football player looking at trying to choose a club, and I see Man United buying a couple of midfielders, maybe looking at other areas of the team they need to address, I'll be thinking at least this club's moving in the right direction. I have got a poll running just to kind of get a democratic vote going. Hayden Heaven was winning. I think Mainoo's slightly winning at the moment, but I'm gonna pick a random time so I can let it run for 5 minutes. Are you good for a bit longer, Helgi?
No, I actually have to go.
Okay, so we'll let the poll run for a couple of minutes. I'll wrap the poll up.
Yeah.
If anyone's
But
got
you
any
have my
final
man of the match
questions-
either way, so you can just wrap up the show by yourself. You don't need me. You're a one-man show, Rich. No, but yeah,
people do like it when international guests drop in though and drop some facts we agree with. When people have like sensible opinions, then they're always welcome. What's your thoughts on Michael Carrick as like a last thing for people to talk about? I'll wrap up the man of the match, but before you go, what's your thoughts on Carrick?
No, it's like I said. He's kind of spaghetti bolognese for me. It's better than something. I would eat it more than a lot of food, but it isn't the best as well. So there's a lot of food I would take over spaghetti bolognese, but there's still, I like a plate of spaghetti bolognese. And I think that's the perfect analogy for what I think about him.
I think 4.7 is harsh. I give him a 7. So I'm gonna award man of the match.
I think that was funny. Like 4.7.
To be honest, actually, let me just have a quick check and to say that the average mark for him for Mainoo was 6. I think he might have got the best mark. What did Heaven get? Oh, Heaven got 6.2.
Okay, and Bruno got.
Bruno got a 6.6. Bruno. I'm guessing that's like voting by.
I was very like between Mainoo and Heaven and Bruno. If Mikayo said Bruno, if you said Mainoo and I said Heaven, I wouldn't disagree with anyone. It's like I think Heaven was, but I think in my opinion Mainoo was like we would have struggled very much without him, and without Bruno we wouldn't have gotten that goal, which means we probably would have not dampened the feeling of Chelsea. So
yeah,
they would probably score at one point or be more confident. I don't know. So that's why I'm just edging towards Mainoo and Bruno.
When you talk, Helgi, when you talk, your phrasing and use of language is really good. When you talk about people from different countries and explanations, that's really spot on.
How do you mean?
No, your English is really good.
Oh, thank you.
Because sometimes you talk and say, "Do you get what I mean?" And I'm just sitting here like I'm not questioning it because I think it's like really good to talk about like dampening things and like I think your expressions are really good.
Yeah, that's the I've always been like a language geek, but I'm always like what I don't like is like how do you know when I'm speaking in my own language, it's like you want to, because I have sometimes sympathy for managers coming to the Premier League and people are like taking something and then totally running with it, because like in Norway, for example, we have so many fewer words than you guys in England. So when people are like, some people when I'm in England, sometimes like in the start when I was younger, because in Norway we say, for example, you guys in England, you're so polite, you're like, oh please will you get the check for me, sort of, kind of, please, thank you, in a bit hurry, you don't need to. And in Norway we don't have all these filler words. We are like, get the check. We like if you directly translate everything from Norwegian to English, we would sound so demanding, but that's just us lacking words. So when we have to speak English, we have to think as an Englishman, because so that's the problem with like translating from Norwegian to English in your head. You have to kind of use more filler words to not sound so. Yeah, so
I think it's like sometimes like abrupt, isn't it? Where it feels like
very
words a little bit.
It's like that with people from Denmark as well. It's like no, he's not good player. I don't think he run fast. Like, and you guys are a bit like, no, I think his top speed
Do you know what
might
I was
be a
gonna
little
say?
bit over the top, but I might think.
I'll just say this really quickly because it's massively off topic. I used to have some housemates in university, and there was a guy from Norway who was one of my housemates for about 6 months, or maybe like 9 months. And he had some friends. One was from Sweden, one was from, I think, Denmark. And when they used to come around, they used to speak in English because it was kind of the easier way for them to communicate sometimes. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I was thinking if we had to have a conversation in Norwegian, it would be like literally just you talking to yourself. So if anyone's got any final questions, like for people that are joining in, we're only 4 subscribers away from like 500 now. So we've had like a big upturn tonight. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I was thinking we could get close tonight, but we are gonna get pretty close.
Yeah, it's nice.
So yeah.
Also, I'm working on like I have this you might think it's stupid, but I've always been like a geek of languages. So like my goal is when I turn 40, I've always had like a goal to speak 5 languages. So I'm currently learning Russian and Italian, and working on my English, and then I Norwegian, and then I know a bit Spanish. So when I'm 40, I think I will hopefully speak Russian, Italian, Spanish, English, and Norwegian. So that's my goal, because a lot of languages are actually like intertwined in together, like with words and stuff. Like ski comes from Norway, you know.
Yeah, we just, you said we got a lot of words in this country. It's because we literally nick all the words. So we got loads of words we've stolen from France, loads of words we got from
Vikings.
Yeah, from Vikings. Loads of words we got Anglo-Saxon words. We just like collect them all. If we want to have an argument, we've got like a lot of things we can say. When it's quite handy when I'm trying to find positives, it gives you a lot of leeway to say a few things that aren't just binary like rubbish or great.
I can tell you one thing that is that you never can relate to unless you're in a total country that doesn't speak your language. But as English is so wide known, like we can speak Norwegian and people don't understand it. So like when I'm in England, I can speak like Norwegian to my mate, but if you let's say you're rich and you and your mate is in Norway and you're going behind someone who, I don't know, looks funny. I don't think you would ever bully someone. It's not that. But if you say I like a comment like his jacket looks stupid, you can never get off with it because we all understand English. But I can tell you to wrap off, one funny story about that is when I was in Turkey, and I think I might have told you this off cam about the fat lady with the pool. But yeah, I can tell you guys this story. So I was in Turkey. I was about 13, and my older brother and me were hanging around the pool every day. And there was like, I was 13, so yeah, and there was the biggest lady I've ever seen in my life, like insanely big. And I was 13, so I said to my brother in Norwegian, like, "Oh, there's that whale again." And I know it's rude, but I was 13, so don't. So I was like, every day we were like commenting a bit about her on the pool, because I've never seen that huge human being in my life. So every time for like 7 days on the holiday in Turkey by the pool, we were like, we didn't point at her, but we talked like, wow, she could swallow a village and stuff like that. And the last day before we were leaving, I made a comment, and then she like reacted, and she said, "Just so you know, I'm Norwegian." So yeah, I can never be safe on holiday as well, because that was the most embarrassing moment in my life. So the whole week she has understood every word we've said. So even in Turkey, we can't speak Norwegian in private. So that was a funny story to wrap it off for me.
Yeah.
The sun
So
does
Helgi-
always shine on TV. I've actually made a song with the daughter of Morten Harket. So the singer of Aha, I know the daughter, and made song with her. So that's but I never met Morten Harket. But yeah. Do you know anything? Do you know anything about Norway? Do you know? That's Norwegian. History lessons with Helgi.
Do you think there was a lot? I was got a question like regarding Norwegian football players at Man United. Do you think there was more Norwegians like started supporting United because of Solskjaer, or do you think it happened earlier than that?
100%. If you could have seen, like, my nephew has become a City fan, and I puke. He wears, like, I was there today. Actually, like the nephew I'm talking about, it was his little brother. And yeah, he's wearing a Haaland kit. So yeah, but it was the Norwegian boom. You know, it was so many Norwegians like Ronny Johnsen and Erik Torstvedt, and there were so many Norwegians at the time in the Premier League, and Solskjaer. So yeah, the Norwegians definitely had a. But United in Norway, it's like Leeds and United and Liverpool are like, I would say, about 80% of all of Norway. 80% is Leeds United.
Leeds.
Yes, it's
Leeds
massive in Norway still, and it's United, Liverpool, and Leeds, and then the 20% is shared between like the other teams. Like my brother is a West Ham supporter. Oh, I like Forecall. Good shot, Mikayo. Forecall is very good.
I don't know what it's called, but one of my housemate had this cheese that's like caramel. If that, you know what that is. He had this cheese where
brown cheese. It's that's
it's
one of my.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Other people probably won't know. And
I have it in my fridge right now. It's one of the
it's like
favorite
I'm trying to think. It's like a
it is kind of a caramel.
It's got its distinct color,
like a cinnamon. Yeah. So it's a brown. We call it brown chease. It's from goats.
That's what I'm saying. It's like kind of like a beige color, and it tasted quite nice. And I just say I'd never thought about it.
Every time, like I've had an artist or a producer come to Norway, or I go abroad, the one thing I always make them, and I have like an 8 out of 10 hit list. Like it's like almost everyone likes it. They are like first time they are eating it, and they are like, you can't decide because you've never tasted anything like it. And then they always said like, I actually prefer this to the other cheese. But it's not like you can't have a cheeseburger with brown cheese. That would be horrible. But yeah, brown cheese with strawberry jam. And she says, Helge, who is the biggest rivalry between Sweden? Do you mean like between all of us, or like from Norway's biggest rivalry is always been Sweden? Has always been Sweden, because we are like, we think we do the like what do you call a intelligent person in Sweden? A tourist. So yeah, there's always been like banter jokes, like we call them stupid and stuff like that. And Norway has always kind of been on side in the Viking age. We have always been like aligned, Norway and Denmark, but Sweden have been more like with Finland and stuff. So yeah, I would say, for example, if Norway isn't in the World Cup or the Euros, which we haven't, all of Norway like Denmark way more than Sweden. But if Denmark isn't in, we are all Sweden supporters. So it's not like, we all love each other kind of. And Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, we all love Iceland. We all love Iceland. So yeah.
Do you think now that someone posted a comment, like Cody posted a comment about the league table, and is Champions League done now? Do you think that's it? Champions
Yeah,
League
yeah,
for Man United?
100%. It's because I think I said this about 2 months ago, because I didn't say it just because of us, but because of look who is under us. Like, I'm going to look at the table again now. Let me see.
Yeah, Chelsea have had 4 defeats in a row, and now they're 10 points behind us, and they've only got 5 games left. It's
Do you know? I
crazy.
saw the post match of Rosenia, and they said they've lost 4 on the bounce in Premier League. But did you know they said like, so you're having a bit of a rough form now. That's 7 losses in your last 8, and I was like,
wow.
what? And I actually had to like rewind, and it was 7 losses out of the last 8, and I'm like,
But also, how many of those, like,
wow.
Rosenior's been in charge? He hasn't been in charge that many games, so his loss record must be insane. It must be similar to Spurs.
Wow, yeah. I think it was something like he is the worst manager in the Premier League, except for Spurs since he came. And
Wow.
also underneath us, we've had Aston Villa. Like, even when we were at 4th and Aston Villa was 3rd, I was saying I think we have Champions League in the bank, because no one's
picking up points.
No, like, are you afraid of Aston Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea? So
I mean,
that's why I say it's in the bag. It's like,
the thing is, I don't know if Chelsea will get like another 5 points over the season. Like, they've picked up, like I said, they've lost 7 out of 8, which is outrageous. Like, one thing is that this season, some clubs have sacked their managers. Like, Chelsea have done it. You could probably say, look at Spurs, and also look at other clubs. Like Forest did it a couple of times. None of those teams have actually improved. Spurs have actually got worse every manager they're sacking. Forest have been in almost the same position all season, and Chelsea are dropping down the league. So
I can say that if I was like in the whole of Premier League, the team I would least support at the moment is actually Chelsea. And I know that's weird because you have the Spurs thing, you have the West Ham thing being very mismanaged, Forest. But going from, I'm not saying like what you call the guy who was there, the manager for Chelsea,
Maresca.
I'm not saying he's the best thing since sliced bread.
But they got someone worse.
But going from Maresca to Rosenia is
it's like going from Thomas Frank to Tudor. It was a disaster.
It's insane to, like, Maresca would have been like, if he took over for Pep, people would have had question marks, but it would have been like, yeah, let's see what he can do with City. And it's like they go from looking quite like on the up. Chelsea are becoming dangerous. They're becoming a good side. Champions League under Maresca. And then they get the PE teacher in, and he's like, if you share manage, it's about aging man. So yeah. I
think that looking at the league table, I've said this for a while. Spurs are doing what it still feels like Spurs are doing what Watford did a few years ago, where they're going to go. They keep sacking the manager and they just keep dropping like a stone. I read somewhere that we're now 19th of April. Spurs don't have a win this year in 2026, and they haven't won a game. I saw this record. I think Spurs haven't won a game for 16 games or something. It's almost half a season. Like, is this like the worst? Like, considering that record, I'm surprised they're not relegated already. They've had the most, I don't know, atrocious start. I saw, you're saying the press conference with Senior. I saw some like Spurs fans saying that we're hoping to bounce back from the Championship. They think they're already relegated. Like, Spurs fans are already considering like next season.
There are people like being like, about Spurs fans being like, it's going to be fun to like be the best team in the league for once, and always like they are like the mindset is already there, and it's kind of funny that like what you say about like sacking doesn't always work, because a lot of people think that way. That especially with United, I've had a lot of conversations up in the years with United fans who think we should be more like a Chelsea, who just sack every 6 months or every year if we don't feel like it's getting right, but they don't understand it's not just the 90 minutes on the pitch. There's so much fucked up shit behind the scenes. But for example, with Spurs, I think like I felt they had a good thing going with Ange, and that might seem wrong, even though they were low on the table. That they did win the first trophy ever or whatever, and the next season would have probably been a good transfer window with Ange there, a good baseline having him for a second, third year. That would have been his third season, building off from that. Like imagine, no way in hell they would have been where they are now. Let's say that if they didn't get in Frank and like they literally built a whole team having like 80% possession and being like the high line, and then they get like Thomas Frank, very like every team, every player on that pitch loves to have the ball in their feet. They've been brought in by Ange to have the ball in their feet, always attacking and having that mindset. And then they get a coach that is like, you're going to have 30% possession.
If you flip it to Manchester United then, and you're looking at our team, then would you be thinking, like, if Man United keep Carrick, it looks like he's most likely. Do you think it's very much of like the expectation for next season is going to vary a lot, and it might depend a bit on the transfer window? But do you think Man United, if we keep him next season, it'll still be like, we don't know whether we're going to keep you the year after. You've got to prove you're good enough, and that's going to be a bit tricky. Like, I suppose
I think it would be so subjective. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. I think someone will, for example, let's say we have a disappointing transfer window. You have a lot of people then saying,
yeah,
you can't expect much. You can't expect much from Carrick, and then the transfer window, like what everyone said with Amorim, like he has to get wing backs. We have to fix the squad. We have to, because we brought in some players, but everyone was saying in the transfer market, like we should be getting like players for his system, and if he doesn't get it, Ineos out. No wonder he fails. And then the second the season starts, it's like he've had everything he wished for. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying everyone is wrong or right, but I'm just saying as soon as that season starts, it doesn't matter if we have a good or bad transfer window. I think some will have an understanding for Carrick, some will don't, someone will be in between. I feel like it's so subjective. For me, it all depends on. Yeah, I think it's far too soon, because I don't know how he will do now at the end of the season, how the transfer market will go, how the World Cup will go, how many cheeseburgers Shaw will eat.
Yeah. You know? So I was thinking, like, for next season, then if you expect Man United to finish the same position in the league table and also do Champions League, it's going to be very difficult. And I like Cake was posting the same things, and Cake posted this, and I'll try to remember exactly what he said. But he said, if people think that we're going to do exactly the same next season with Champions League football, they're delusional. I don't think anybody thinks that at all. Everybody looks at the game, the squad, and thinks we need reinforcements before we even think about finishing the same. Everybody knows that. Like no one's 100%. Under any illusion. So I think some people think that the other people have a different view. I think most people look at the squad and go, if we finish third, and at the moment where we're in the table, we're
miracle.
Third, I'll think, wow, how we finished?
How?
Yeah, it'll be like I think Tom and Michael Carrick should say, you know how Mourinho said, "This is my greatest achievement."
Yeah. For us, seriously, like we've all, if we are all very honest with each other, like we've all watched United this season. If we end up third, I think this has been like when we were poor with Ten Hag and ended like 7th or 8th to one season with the hole in midfield and stuff. I actually liked us more than with Amorim, and we ended. Yeah, my point is just if you would have watched all of United's game and never knew the results for the whole season and would guess where we would have ended up, no one would say third. And also, I just wanted to pull up Mikhail's comment there between Steph and Mikhail. I thought that was a bit funny because he said, I don't know what's funnier, Spurs getting relegated or Thomas Frank getting a massive payout and probably going to join another Premier League side. So he's like leaving there and they are relegated, and then he probably gets and then Stephanie comes with a good shout because she said Frank to Palace, maybe Glasgow goals, and I think that's like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, that could be
match made in heaven. That's a super good shout from Stephanie. I've never thought of that, but yeah, I don't sit around thinking about that either way. But it's a very good shout because I think he can take it. Yeah, no, I think that's a very.
I think this is an interesting point because when we talked about managers for Man United, I always want to say this, that going back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, going on to other managers, and I'm usually patient, but if someone goes, right, we need a different manager, you've got to have reasons, don't you? You've got to have like, right, what's the difference going to be? What are they going to do differently? How is it going to yield better results? I think the difference between like Amrin and Carrick, without being like offensive towards anyone involved, I think what happened there was a mismatch of ideas and strategy.
Yeah, it was never going to work.
Between what Amrin wanted to do and what the people above him wanted to do. And I think that Michael Carrick aligns a bit closer, but also because it's a little bit more realistic in terms of how they can construct the squad. And I think with this one, a lot of people, like, this is a general thing in football. A lot of people just think, right, sack the manager and improve. And I think with Chelsea, they already had quite a decent manager. I remember,
and I think they have a good squad, even though like they didn't need to buy Garnacho. But yeah, I think like Casado and Enzo in the midfield. Are you kidding me? They have, and they've spent a lot of money. They have good players. I feel like they have everything, except they need maybe like 2 experienced centre half and a good manager.
Yeah, you're like saying exactly what I said in the preview. But I said get Mbeumo, get Managerial there, because I always think their centre backs are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Whether it's like playing out from the back, pressing them, or just defending in general, I think Chelsea have a vulnerability in centre back situation that they just never address. When they bought Garnacho and Gittins, my reaction was,
what?
Well, for a start, was wow. I think you've actually got players worse than the players you already had. And you haven't addressed your weaknesses. Like, you haven't addressed your weaknesses at all. You bought more wingers when you've already got wingers. You got Neto. You're buying Garnacho and Gittins who aren't as good.
It's like buying sand. It's like buying sand in the desert. It's like, it's so pointless. It's not what you need. It's the good analogy is you're literally buying sand in the desert when there's a water booth standing right there, and that's a perfect analogy, actually.
And it's just so crazy. Big up to you, Stephanie. Get some
big
good sleep. I don't know what time shows will be tomorrow. I'm just riding the optimism of Man United, and this is like, we don't have many games, and this is like a perfect game to actually perfect opportunity just to kind of do a longish stream. And then we've got international man of mystery Helgi dropping in, which is a bonus as well. And
I'm like Mata when he flew in with the helicopter last minute when he signed.
But no,
that was so epic, wasn't it? When he landed in the helicopter looking like James Bond.
Yeah, no, he's a top guy as well. He's one of the people actually that I couldn't. There's a few people you can't say anything negative about. I think Matt is one of those players.
Herrera, the Spaniards.
It says things with getting a new manager takes time for him to settle in, getting Cunha out of the squad. And if you drop him into Spurs, I mean, bloody hell. Can you imagine if Spurs like replaced another manager? I think at the time, I remember Watford sacked their manager with like about 4 games to go or something. And they'd gone through like 4 managers in one season. And I did this is going back about 4 years. I did this stream and I had a Watford fan on as a guest. And I asked the question and I said, how do you feel about sacking so many managers? And he said, really good. I think it's a good strategy. And I was like, what?
No.
And he said, we need to keep sacking managers until we improve. And I was thinking,
I've heard a lot of United fans say that, by the way.
This is like Watford fan, but Man United fan, I have heard people say, sack him if he's not good enough, sack the next one and go, how much time do you give them? And they don't give them any time.
The thing is, like, some things like water is wet. That's just a fact, and a fact is, and every manager will tell you, like, yes, you need time, but it's like the people that says like sack him every 6 months if he doesn't get it right and stuff, they don't understand. It's not like a manager comes on like with Carrick and it has an instant impact. Yeah, but that's like an interim. That's like a false dawn. I'm talking about turning a club on its head, like Thomas Frank did with Brentford, or they did with Brighton, or they did with other Bournemouth. That doesn't happen overnight. People are like, yeah, it's amazing how and Irola and everyone in Bournemouth is amazing, and Brentford is amazing, and Brightford is amazing, and Brighton is amazing. That's years in the making. Like, people think that who think you can just sack and then like a manager isn't a manager anymore. It's just a coach. Like, there's so much things going on in behind. Before, we could have more done that when managers had more power in the club, and you get a manager and he gets how he wants in every way and it doesn't work, yeah, then sack him, because we've seen it. But for a head coach now, as it's called, to come into a club and change a culture and the youth team and the setup and formation and everything about schedules, about hotels, about how long do you meet up before a game, everything, to get everything of that perfect, it takes years often. So for people to just expect everything to click is like, you don't actually know how much goes on behind the scenes. A manager doesn't like show up at Carrington, blew his whistle, like, nice pass, Mainoo, goes home, sleep, and then wakes up at Old Trafford at match day.
Think about it, and maybe Bruno,
so
you should
much.
pass a bit forward, a bit quicker. There you go.
Yeah. Why doesn't he tell Bruno to take a few extra touches? Like, no, I'm pretty sure he hasn't said that once.
Do you think this with Spurs fans as well? They're probably thinking. I know some were saying that they're going to give Thomas Frank some time. And I'm thinking they didn't. They turned quite quickly, and the people I said that I knew were saying we're going to give him time, because they were saying.
I think that's a sign you got, like, self insight, and that's a very good thing, because I take myself. But I want to tell you, I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because I'm the same way, and I think it's a good thing. It's a bad thing because I've always been like, I'm always one of the last ones to say like a manager out or whatever. And I think it's a bit, yeah, it's kind of blind loyalty, but it's also, I think, if you look at the deep psychology behind that again, we have had so many false dawns that, for example, with Amorim and Ten Hag, I remember when we got Ten Hag, I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said, like, if this doesn't work, now we have tried Moyes, we have tried Solskjaer, LVG, Mourinho. If Erik Ten Hag doesn't work now, I don't know where we are going next. I put all my eggs on him. So then I just laid all my loyalty in him, and it's like when you're in like a toxic relationship or whatever, like, you see past everything. I bought his book. I read his whole book 2 times. I was like, Erik Ten Hag is the new Ferguson. You can't challenge me. and then he doesn't work. Oh my God, where are we going next? And there comes a charismatic, cool-looking Portuguese guy who looks like Bruno's brother. And I'm like, okay.
People said at the same time, when he came, they were going like, Sporting Lisbon have scored. No one scored more goals than them in Europe. And I was like, give me more of this. Give me some of this.
So when he came in, I was like so disappointed that Ten Hag this didn't work, because I put all my eggs in his basket and was like blind loyalty. So I was probably like, in hindsight, isn't it? Because at the moment, in hindsight, we should have sacked him after the final. But after the final, I said it would be a disgrace if we did it. So I'm also about.
I think there was a lot of negativity about Louis van Gaal being sacked after winning the FA Cup.
Yeah, that was a mistake, though. That was a mistake.
Yeah, that's why I think. I think because of that they looked at it, and the FA Cup final win against Man City, we dominated the game and we played different style, or we looked
But we had been
amazing.
shit for 18 months about that, or something about for that. So,
I know.
and after that happened, I put all my eggs in his basket, like I said, Ten Hag, and then came like a charming with offensive football from Sporting. Looks like Bruno's brother. I love Bruno. So I was like, okay. I was like, okay. I'll give one more manager, and I'll back this guy to the hilt. And he smiles and he looks at the camera, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold. And then I just jump on his train, and I'm like, but if he doesn't work, so I can how do you say it?
Yeah, I can find
with
the positives.
what Mikayo says.
Because you know what you're saying about the positives.
I can relate to the guilty blind of loyalty, because it's like I want some guy to work. Give me one manager. Give me one person. I think
I was like that when you look at it, like when Carrick came in now, my reaction was, I look at press conference and there's no bad headlines. That everything looks quite calm. And then the first game was like a win. I was like, oh wow, look, that he's actually listening to what he wants. He's like playing a different system. And then I was like kind of relaxed. And then when there's like bad results, I just think, okay, but look at the overall picture. We're finishing third in the league, and people are starting to moan about style of play. And I was like, we're just getting over the line. And now I'm kind of open-minded, where I'm not going to say anything negative about Michael Carrick, because like Rob's saying, the results are there. If someone tells me we played badly in a game, like we played well in a lot of games and didn't win at some point, and we played well against Arsenal, but we didn't win, and we played a tough game against tonight, a tough game against Everton when we won, and a tough game in other matches this season where we've actually won. And do we dominate Liverpool when we beat them 2-1? No, but we managed to find a way to win. And I think this season is just about getting a way back into the Champions League. And if this is the record, I think it is. Do we lose more than one game? I'm not sure. We lost to Leeds. Do we lose to
Everton.
Newcastle?
Everton. Didn't we lose?
That was under Ruben Amorim, wasn't it? Everton. Oh. I think we might. I'm not sure, but it's something similar to that, Rob. It's been.
When was the last time we played in Champions League? By the way, can anyone?
That must be 2 years ago, isn't it? When you think Erik ten Hag with.
Yeah. Oh my God, Onana. That was the Galatasaray shit show. From,
do you remember that when we played in that one? That was one where I think about 3 games we were winning, and then someone got sent off, or Onana dropped like a clanger, and we lost 2 games from 2-0 up.
Yeah, he basically sent us out of the Champions League on his own. He did 100 stupid mistakes in the whole. I was just I'm just picturing myself. The first Ten Hag, I thought United was going to be back, ball playing goalkeeper, and we're in the Champions League, and where does the champions? And I'm so busting to get started, and then 4 weeks later, it's no.
I think Rasmus actually scored a decent amount of goals then, and
he did.
No joke, Onana got us removed from the Champions League. I've never known a situation where in 6 group games, I think 4 defeats were down to goalkeeping errors.
Yep. I've never.
I'm not someone that blames one player apart from when they are as bad as he was. And I was honestly saying, look, if he was match fixing, I'd go it was too obvious in honor. It's too obvious to match fixing.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good take. That's the best way to say. If he was match fixing is the worst and least obvious match fixing.
Do you remember the League Cup game between Manchester United and Spurs, where there was about 4 goalkeeping errors in that match? And
it was the competition of errors.
I was thinking, it's actually Binder, wasn't it? Does Binder and their guy have some bet? Whoever wins has to do some sort of forfeit, because.
And that's the funny. That's what I love about Binder. Bless him, and Onana. is that like every time there's like, you remember when Bayern started like with Amorim and then Arsenal, and then Onana had his chance like coming back against Grimsby to show what he's worth, and is absolutely shitting it. But at the same time, if you spin that around, the game you're talking about, that was like we were kind of slagging off Onana at the time, like always, but we were like, finally Bayern gets to start. Let him take Onana's place, and then like, let's see what you can do, Bayern. I love those two because they are like competing, you know, like don't play me. Like every time Bayern starts and Onana gets to like, now I have to impress, he's even more shit. And then Onana starts, and then Bayern gets like a cup game in at Spurs in let's like 4 hours. Like, nah. I've never witnessed anything like it in football. It's like having Karius and Liverpool in the Real Madrid final. It's like having 2 Kariuses at the same time year round. It's
no, that was one where I think that I was saying this a lot. That Nana, when he was in goal, I was thinking, like, why isn't Bayern playing? And I think we had that Spurs game, and then he came back in the FA Cup. How can Bayern played against Arsenal in the FA Cup, match-winning penalty save, and played really well? Like, what happened? Like, for one game, he was really good, and I was like, wow.
Keep this going. Actually... And he's like, nah.
And but now he looks scared. I don't know. There's something happened. I can't think what it is. Something fundamental.
I love that's one more saying that you have in England. I love, like a deer in the headlights, because that's exactly how he looks. He's looking like that's the first time he's standing. You know, when in what do you call it in England, when you have in school when you play football or whatever, like the class.
Oh, like games or PE.
Physical, yeah. It's like when you put the girls in the goal and they're like afraid of how hard the guy shoots, you know? I feel like that's how Bayern looks in the goal.
You
like,
watch the game. This is the one that sticks in my mind because I was like watching it. It was middle of the night and it was Man United against Everton pre-season match, and James Garner was taking a free kick from about 35 yards, and Bayern looked scared. And I was like, okay, James Gardner's not exactly Roberto Carlos.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and then he parried it. I think it hit the post or something, bounced out in a dangerous position. We somehow didn't concede. And I was like, bloody hell. Like, how can Tom Heaton come in? And even though he's about 40.
I remember I was in, sometimes when you look at football in real life and it's like, wow, you really don't see how good they are in real life, or like, something that always shocks me, even though I expect it. Like the body of some players in real life are very different to how they look. Like, for example, one of the biggest shocks I've had was Van Persie when I saw him live, because I've always seen him as like a very technical, lean guy. But when I saw him in real life, his thighs are like a horse thigh. His legs are like, it's no wonder how he shoots so hard. But in TV, he looks like so technical. And
do you think that with I was having this conversation
like
recently,
the leg of a horse? It's insane.
And someone was talking about saying one of the best players I think he's like seen or has been in football in terms of like rounded skill set was like Zidane. And Zidane's got the touch, finesse. And I was saying Zidane was so physical. You watch him, Zidane was like solid as well, really physical.
Very, like every time you see a picture of him when he's standing, you can see like it's like a horse's and the meantime you want to know when I came like with Van Persie, that I had that experience, and like, wow, do you know what United players have had the opposite, where I saw them in real life and I was like, they're actually as shit up close as they are on TV. And that was Chris Smalling and Fellaini. When I watched them in the warm-ups, I was like, they don't even but I actually rate kind of Smalling. Like I don't think we should have sold him. I don't think he was very good, but I mean, when I watched the warming up and stuff, and you saw like the touches, they didn't look like professional footballers at all.
I think when I watched like live games, I was really impressed by the first touch and technical ability of people like Patrice Evra.
Yeah. Same.
Because I was like there looking at thinking, right, I'll watch Scholes and I'll watch Rooney, Ronaldo, and I was like, damn, Evra's like
player.
so good.
Yeah. I agree.
So good. And also the Rio Ferdinand was like,
oh my god.
I think Rio Ferdinand was like
he was
much like he was
taller.
literally in the right position. Every single cross literally landed on him, and I was like, wow, his position was so amazing.
And also, he looked even taller in real life.
Yeah, he's just a beast.
Yeah, wow. Because he was the lean out of him and Vidic, but when I watched them live, it was like the beast and beaster. It wasn't like I was just thinking when I watched that, because I was so lucky. I watched when Ronaldo got the Ballon d'Or. I watched that. I was a game at that season when we played Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, Nani, Jisung Park, Carrick, Scholes.
It's like crazy, isn't it?
Oh, it was. I get the shivers. Yeah, Van der Sar in goal. I get to meet. I got to have 2 sentences with Van der Sar after the game. I was waiting 2 hours after the game. Got the signing from Jisung Park and Nani. Tevez scored from 35 yards against West Ham, like his old club. Ronaldo scored 2 goals.
I was impressed by when people talk about what's the fastest.
Amadeus isn't he? No, I'm just joking. That was unfair.
I was saying, Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime was ridiculous as well. Ridiculous.
I'm so happy that I actually, because it cost a hell of a lot of money for Norwegians for us to do the whole thing, and my mom brought me to my first ever game, you see, because she knows how much I love. So she isn't that into football, but that, like, my mom's amazing. So she like paid for me and her to go to England and watch, and like what the game she picked and what year, and like that season when Ronaldo broke the Premier League record for scoring and stuff. So it was and she said, like, the half of the game I wasn't even watching the game. She said she was just looking at the joy of my face, because I was like hypnotized, like the magic of Old Trafford, like for a 13-14-year-old guy, and all of my walls were like filled with United posters, and what do you call it when before a game you give this shape?
I like that, like a pennant, like your hand. Yeah.
Every game now, every night before sleep, I have like a United pendant thing over my head pillow, and I did this, like kissed my finger and kissed it before I went to sleep, and to go from like United walls in my bedroom, having like a big poster, 2 big posters of Ronaldo in that when you're 13, 14, and then go to watch it from little place in Norway. It's crazy. And that's why it's a shame how football has turned now, that like people travel from Norway to see United get smashed 3-0 at Old Trafford with Garnacho and
I know. I was thinking.
No offense,
people
but
go from like Los Angeles, they fly over, they watch Man United. I saw this like this group of people who watch Man United
China to see us like lose 3-0 against Brighton with Ten Hag, and like, it's a hole in the midfield.
Yeah, no,
like,
I think the first time I went to Old Trafford, we beat Crystal Palace 5-2. I think Scholes got a couple of goals, Solskjaer got a goal, and it was just like, and I remember taking one of my friends to go and watch them, who wasn't really into football, but I was saying, look, you got to, and that we had Rooney and Ronaldo, and we were just outrageous, really, really good.
And the how do you say it, when the feeling that when somebody got the ball like we were so good at the time that if it was Evra, Ronaldo, or Giggs or Park, they just received it like just over the half line. You could just see the chairs on Old Trafford like dun, 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 like everyone racing up for every attack. No, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Just hearing the and you see the domino effect of everyone like standing up on their chair. The longer we are like coming towards their goal. No, it's.
You know what I saw once? Like I remember watching it. I can't remember which the team was. It might have been. I can't remember who it was now, but they were a mid-table team, and United were attacking. We lost the ball, and they just started then like they were on the halfway line. They started passing it back to their defense, and they were literally too scared to attack. And, and the fans were like laughing, going, and they go, "What's this rubbish? Like they're not even going to try and attack." And it was like this sort of game where also I remember watching a game where Ronaldo ruined this team, and it was Wigan, and we were winning 3-0. And in the 90th plus minute or something, they got a penalty. And you know how tiny the Old Trafford away fan section is. And sometimes I sat that side, and they were to my left, but I sat the other end of the ground, and there was a penalty the other end, and they scored to make it 3-1. And then they cheered, but it sounds like a couple of children going in the background. Go, wow, it's not many people because the ground was silent, and then the ground started laughing. Everyone's like laughing at the fans. I think it's like it's something that a lot of fans though.
How big we were.
Yeah, you got to if you can experience it, it's always worth going.
And also one last thing is that back in those days, even though I'm not that old, but how do you say it? There was less tourism. There were lower prices. So I felt like now the people going to Old Trafford are the rich. And the people who aren't rich, that becomes poor to watch United. And I feel like now it's like for the tourist that has the most money, that doesn't sing that much. I feel like the vibe was way better back then because there were more like the hardcore United fans all over the stadium, and now it's like a lot of like families. And
I just recorded when I went there. I recorded like there's probably really low audio quality because it's about 15 years ago. But I remember going on a Boxing Day match and recording them doing like the Cantona song, like 12 Days of Christmas, thinking I absolutely love it because was my favorite player. And then the other like the songs and chants, and it was just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I think with this one, I remember going on like an away game to Hillsborough on a tram, and all the Man United away fans are just like doing songs like pretty much constantly to the ground.
Oh my god!
And I think this is one where
that was one of the as a 13, 14-year-old that I didn't expect, or that was one of the things I loved the most about going to the game, was before and after the game as well. Like in Norway, in the little place I'm from, it's like people are so timid and stuff. But like for me to go on a match that day with my mom, and we're going on the train, and then like 50-year-old people putting their hands around me like, "Hey, go United!" like random, and we would just start singing in the streets like in the middle of the day together. Like it was so crazy to me that like 50-year-olds could just grab me around the shoulder because I was wearing a kit and be like, "Glory, glory, man!" And we were going like in the middle of the day, and it wasn't even match day, and I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! This is brilliant, isn't it?" And on match day, and also after the game, just going around the street, people are just smiling, like 70,000 people just walking all over Manchester, just smiling. As well, it's the best thing in the world.
When we're talking about this, also big up to you, Jeff, for posting on X. Thanks people for sharing it, and thanks people there's like 30 people watching now. So thanks, big up to people locked in.
They
watching.
Like story time and reminiscing.
Yeah, please like subscribe if you guys are new. We're so close to 500.
Like for the Busby Babes.
You know what's going to be really good? Like, I really enjoyed the late night streams we did last year on the Europa League because the games were crazy in Europe. And we're going to do it next year, Helgi. We're going to be bringing back European football. So we're talking like forget the Chelsea game. we're going to be playing Champions League football, and it's going to be we're going to play 8 different teams. So we're going to start playing the legends again. That we're going to start. We're going to get to have a crack at maybe Real Madrid, Barcelona.
I don't know
Saint-Germain.
how you view this, but I've always been like, I want the best. I don't want us to go to Champions League and be like, oh no, we drew against Real Madrid, or why did we get? I want to give us.
I mean, I want to see Mbappe and I want to see Vinicius Junior, but I don't want to see them running
pocketed. Okay, Rich. Next season, Mbappe gets pocketed by heaven. Tell me, how good does that feel? Oh.
Do you remember who was it? Was it Tuanzebe that did a great job against?
And never played again. No.
Yeah, then exactly.
And he was never. It's like every time he played good and was fit, he just disappeared suddenly.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking all these things that we've missed out on that has been so frustrating this season. Like, we're going to bring it back. We're going to be playing.
We've been playing like teams. We are just pretending to know, like, oh, Slavia Boskarovsky. Of course, I know who that is in Europa League. Like,
I know there's somewhere I was like, going to
teams. Like,
remember that team that didn't have a name? It was just like letters, and I was like, what is this? It was like the website not loaded.
Was it Pauk?
It was like Pow Athens, I've heard of, but there was one that was really bizarre.
It was like, oh no, haven't you heard? It's like the 3rd best team in Moldova. I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I do scout players a little bit, but if someone comes in and tells me they're watching the Moldovan league, I'm going to have to disregard them. I don't think anyone's watching the Moldovan league.
I can't wait. What do you think? Because there have been like very split opinions about the Champions League format, but I'm actually like, I actually love it.
I think it's actually quite good that you don't have the thing I used to get frustrated about when you play 6 games is you play everyone twice. It feels like you're playing the same teams over and over again, and there's usually like a really good team and a couple of crap teams, and it's a bit boring. I think that
I love this format really.
Do you know what, you know how the Champions League, we weren't involved in it this season. When it came to match week 8, it was so cool that every time a goal went in, it was like an end of the day season where they're going, Newcastle are 4th. Oh no, Newcastle now 7th.
And everyone was impacted. And why in football, when they started football, did they do the league first and then cups? It's because the league is the best way to determine who kind of is the best or whatever. So I think it's a perfect way to set it up, to make like a table, and that table determines how you get out to the.
It's kind of more varied, isn't it?
I think it's so fair. It's more even. Yeah. I like it in every way. But I was so critical about it before it came.
We could play like a few smaller teams, or we could be playing like Sporting, Porto. Then we could have Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain. We'll have a good range of teams, but we'll play 8 different teams. Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I know.
Because I've been like really annoyed watching teams like Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Spurs, and thinking, bloody hell, they're crap in the league, and Chelsea, and we have to watch them have this long Champions League campaign. It's really frustrating.
Agree, and watching Arsenal pretending they are a Champions League side, like no. They're like the guy who's going out to the bar and like, no. I score 10s all the time. I score 10s.
Jeff likes the new format. Jeff is like given like this is like Aiden Heaven's only 19, but if he ends up being a combination of Vidic and Rio, it's like you've constructed the ultimate defender. Pretty decent. That. I love him, and like people say like Mainoo reminds them of who is it? Seedorf. I mean, Seedorf was a quality player. He's one player. I don't know if it's still true, but he'd won Champions Leagues for the most different teams, hadn't he? At one point. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was I grew up watching Italian football even more than the Premier League, like when I was 6, 7, 8, because we didn't have the channels rights in Norway. So I watched a lot of Italian, and Seedorf was just. But I don't think it's a bad comparison, actually. When people started bringing it up,
I was like, okay, that's actually pretty spot on.
I can see the logic, and I think
Yes.
it's
But
good.
obviously they do have, like, he was a lot more like how to say low gravity than Mainoo. He was like a bit more stocky and small. Mainoo is a bit more, it's a longer legs, a bit more physical. I've never seen Sedov as, I've seen him more as a 10 all my life, a 10 who played 8. But Kobe, I feel like is 8. But I don't know, even because people are like, is he a 10? Is he 8? Is he a 6? And my answer is like, I don't think even he knows. He's 20.
Do you look at it and think
He's
that
20. You remember Keenan's goals?
Yeah, I think when Keane was definitely an aggressive box crashing midfielder, trying to get on the end of chances,
Yeah, but
scoring
he
goals.
played like a 10 at Forest, didn't he?
He was like an aggressive midfielder, always trying to get
it was
on.
Anderson basically.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the other example. Scholes was definitely The reason they sing Paul Scholes he scores goals is because he scored shitloads of goals and wasn't playing deep lying, and he had a tremendous finish. I think with this one, I think Scholes and Roy Keane both sacrificed sort of individual stats just to make to make Man United the best possible team. And I think with Kobe Mainoo, at the moment, he's playing exactly where it's required to kind of anchor that midfield, doing the best he can.
Imagine if Twitter was in those days with Scholes like, what position does Evan Scholes play? Is he a 10? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? They would have been like, can you just calm the fuck down? Is a good.
You know what I was thinking? But
like,
if you think of like Ryan Giggs' football career, people will say Premier League legend, all the titles, unbelievable player. But there was loads of seasons where people were telling me going, "Oh, Giggs is a bit shit, isn't he?" And I was thinking, we're finishing first or second every single season, and people going, "Yeah, but he's," and I think people always will criticize players at the time, and when you look back on them, you're going to go like,
I remember, I was the only thing I was critical about him was the last year of Giggs, but remember he was 40 at the time.
He was like a centre midfielder then. Playing as
but then he had played like 3 years of centre mid, and I remember the first year he played centre mid, me and my mates were literally laughing. We were like, "This is a joke!" Like how good he was. He was like, we signed 100 million player like in the midfield, because we spent all the summer. Me and my boys we were so mad at Ferguson. We were like. And the Glazers and the club, like, why we were saying like we are so piss poor that we have to kind of school Giggs into a central midfielder, and then the season starts and he plays like comes in the team of the season as a midfielder, and some of the passes he made was a joke. Like if someone puts up like Giggs assists as a central midfielder, if that even was a YouTube video. I remember there was a filthy one he had to Van Persie in the cup.
The thing I like about him, there was definitely a highlight reel from about 2003 where he'd been playing top quality football for about 12 years at that point, and he was still going to carry on for like another quite a few. And he completely destroyed, I think, Juventus in the Champions League. He was just running straight through their team, and there was nothing they could do about it. And it was ridiculous. And I was just thinking he was on top form then. And I think people forget that the reason why we rate these players is because Juventus were a serious team back then. Like they were an elite team. And I think when we're talking about Zidane, and I said like Zidane was like very skillful, but he was a beast. He was so powerful, strong. And in his peak, Roy Keane like outplayed him. And that's why Roy Keane's like a legend for that game in Italy.
Yeah.
And I think people forget the context, but it's crazy.
I can tell you. I just have to like what you're saying there is spot on, because one thing that might surprise if some Englishman asked me like, what would we be shocked about hearing, kind of like outside looking in stuff. In Italy, Keane is like one of the highest regarded players from the Premier League ever. Like
really?
Keane and Giggs are seen as like how we view. For example, did you see the overlap with Chiellini?
No, I haven't seen that.
No, Chiellini. So Chiellini goes in this. Have you seen where they do this thing that they bring in retro shirts and they bring in players and stuff? Have you seen that thing on YouTube before? No?
I think so. Is that where they go for their career with different shirts?
Yeah, and at the end, they get to pick from Sports Direct or whatever one kit they get for free retro. And when Chiellini went there, he picked a shirt of like a retro 1998 shirt of Keane, Man United. He could pick one. So that says you all you need to know. Like, they respect the hell out of them. And I just have a funny trivia for you now, Rich. So let's say a player, we can call this player X. Are you ready for this? It's a bit math now. Would you say this player got, for about 15 years, he got 20 assists a season? Or for 15 years? Or you can have 20, or you can have 30 years with 10 assists every season in 30 years. Do you know who I'm speaking of?
30 years.
Almost. So it's hypothetical. So you know Giggs?
Yeah.
He has 273 assists for United. So if you put that in like a context, that's, when people are like De Bruyne, Özil and stuff, if you put 10 seasons in the elite football at United, 10 seasons, and you get 20 assists every year of those 10, like 10 years, 2020, then you have 200. Now you have 73 assists still uncounted for. It's
kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Because I think
ridiculous.
that will you ever see someone that literally,
it's ridiculous.
Like, you don't have this example, okay? There's going through like some sort of like record of history. You have players that traditionally start really well, like they're really, really good as their first season, like Wayne Rooney, like Ryan Giggs, and probably trying to think of other examples. There's not many of them. Nicholas Anelka, Robbie Fowler, elite players, and Michael Owen, elite player, as a teenager. And then you fast forward to the age of 30. Then
they get Stoke.
Most of those players hit the wall. The two that stand out for me, athleticism-wise, I don't think Ryan Giggs really dropped off at all.
No,
until at least 35.
He was the captain for United when we won the Champions League, and he was about 38. So yeah, and most of the other ones were like on loan at Stoke or Leighton Orient.
I think most people, like Wayne Rooney, when he was 35, I think he'd retired, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And if you look at the other option, the other one is when Cristiano Ronaldo came to Manchester United, he broke the records that were club records for fitness, and those records were held by Ryan Giggs in terms of like physical assessments. He broke the club records, and he's the only other person I can think of recently that has just maintained it to a ridiculous amount. And that's why I think that Ryan Giggs is underrated, in my opinion, because
he for me, obviously I'm a bit biased, but for me it's.
But people will look at like 3 seasons and
273 assists. Like, that's what I said. If you lead it up to 300, it isn't 300. I get that, but it's like it's almost 15 years. So that's from 20.
How old's Kevin
35 with 20 assists a season. It's and also on top of that, you have 168 goals. So if you combine those two, I won't get into those numbers again. But
it's crazy, isn't it? So when you look at it, Helgi, is there like a few elite individuals that transcend everything? And that's like, as a defender, Maldini is like decades and decades of performance gigs. Because when people talk about Eden Hazard, you go, brilliant, but for how many years was he brilliant? And it's like a small amount. And then you go,
people talk about like Giggs and Bale. It's just but suck my
I'll tell you one story. I worked with somebody that was from Montpellier, French guy, great guy. Unfortunately, he supported Arsenal, but they did have most of the French national team, so I could kind of understand it. And he was saying, "Oh, Robert Pires, so much better than Giggs," and I was like, "Did you not watch Man United in like the 90s?" And I was going, "You should watch the FA Cup semi-final, Manchester United versus." I said to him, "Watch Manchester United against Arsenal semi-final FA Cup, and then come back to me and we'll discuss it." And then, no joke, like a few days later, he must have like Googled it, searched it, and came back and went, "Fair play, Giggs is amazing."
Yeah, I did the math now. I just had to say it. The goals and assists for Giggs, okay?
Yeah.
It's 441, right? And then I took 441 and I divided it by 20. So you have, for example, a career from your 16 to your 36 or 20 to your 40. So I divided 441 by 20. And I got 22. So that's, let's say if they popped a player like Giggs in today's market, this is also a guy that comes to United then as a 20-year-old, and he stops playing at 40, and he averages 22 goals and assists for 20 consecutive years.
Do you know what the crazy thing is?
And wins 13 Premier Leagues, and you get what I'm like.
Yeah.
He hands down the most underrated player in the world.
Do you know what the crazy thing is, Helgi? If Ryan Giggs was playing today, he's probably going to be playing in a front three as an inside forward more. He's going to be taking more shots, getting closer to the striker, getting more chances for assists.
Oh my God.
He's going to be
with that pace in a 4-3-3, because before there was like 4-4-2.
Because he was on the wide right.
Yeah, now wingers are more like strikers, you know. He would have been, wow, I've never thought of that. Like
he had two, like Ryan Giggs was predominantly there to assist. He's on the left of a 4-4-2 that's feeding Dwight Yorke and Andy Cole, and often he's passing into Scholes, who can then set up chances. If you put Ryan Giggs in today's football, I had this conversation with Indiana.
I've never thought of that. That is
a year
really
ago,
cool thought.
and he said,
"Wow!"
And because someone put a comment saying, "What would happen if Giggs was playing today and compared with Mo Salah?" And the response I got was, this guy said, "Mo Salah would be sitting on the bench clapping."
100. I've never actually thought of that, because now people are like, you know, so it's no diss against like Rafinha, because
it's like a stats thing, isn't it? Like,
I love
wide as well.
I love Rafinha and I love Dembele, but like those are like some of the best left-footed right wingers in the world, with Yamal, of course. But like, imagine Giggs with that. Yeah, the list I just said. Like, imagine that. That's when people are like, "Oh no, football wasn't as good as in days." Like when we say Giggs was insane, we aren't just jerking off into like a nostalgic carpet or something. Like it's literally 20. Like you can use that as like when you repeat it to someone. You drop a 20-year-old guy in United as a 20-year-old. He retires at 40, and he gets 22 goals and assists every season for 20 years. And that's Ryan Giggs. He did it. It's not like he could have, should have. That's facts. Like, we have seen those assists. That happened. It's so when you put it like that, and yeah, as you know, the work rate, the work rate, and he played
as a wide
position.
winger.
Yeah, I played different positions. And his work rate when he was, I remember when he was 38, 39, he was, when the team was shit and needed that Bruno guy, he was the most hardworking guy on the.
He was tracking back as well at age 35,
insane.
tracking back, putting in tackles.
So he put those numbers. He was a lightning quick dribbling left winger. Real schooled himself into like one of the best central midfielders in the world. Had those stats and had the working rate. So yeah, I would argue with anyone.
My final argument is he played for the most cutthroat manager
Good
as
point.
well that would not take any passengers in the team. If you dropped a level, you were gone.
Hazard, he wouldn't last 3 trainings with Ferguson.
Can you imagine? Like, I know we'll have to wrap up soon. Like, seriously, but can you imagine with this one that the players that wouldn't last at all? How long would Onana, Bayindir?
That's a good way to end the show. Yeah.
How long would they last? All the players, like some of the players we got,
Malacia would have been dropped by the under-21s.
Agate, Xerxes. Like, how many games would they have got from Fergie? Because I think it would have been a case of like, right, we don't have a goalkeeper at the club. We're buying a goalkeeper. There's no way that Onana plays more than 10 games. There's no way that Bayindir starts after that game against Spurs. He's gone.
If it wasn't so late now, I actually would have gone to see like gigs. So I'm going to like rain check myself for tomorrow because this just made me miss gigs. I need to watch gigs.
Yeah, Cantona's my favorite player ever, I think, because of the glory days.
I was born. My mom and dad were a bit too late with me, if I could put it in a nasty way. But yeah, they didn't pop me out soon enough, if that's allowed to say. But yeah. So I have no memories of Cantona, basically. Sad enough. But I watched near enough every game because I bought all those full season DVDs, not just the highlights.
One of my guests that used to be on years ago said they just like watching like Premier League years when we were good. This is like going back like a year. Said sometimes I like to watch them and just reminisce when we were good.
Same. But, me and my lads do this.
We're gonna have to wrap up. Helgi, phenomenal, like amazing stream. Everybody that's involved, yourself, Wizabella, everyone in the chat, the people that have been. This has been a super long stream, so big up to you, Jeff, and big up to you, Rob, because it's like 1:30. I'm gonna try not. I've probably been shouting too much. I'm gonna get in trouble in a minute.
You've been on the naughty list now.
Oh yeah, I'll be on the naughty step tomorrow, no doubt. But Helgi,
you can just cheer yourself up with the gigs video.
Yeah, legend. Everybody legendary in the chat. Thanks for watching. Yes. And we'll be back tomorrow. As Stephanie asked, I have no idea what time because I'm going to be knackered tomorrow. But I'll try and do something tomorrow for sure. If you just tuned in, please watch the start of the video if you want to see some player ratings, match discussion. And if you want like banter about Man United, then the last hour, Helgi, fantastic. We'll be back tomorrow. I just don't know when, but hopefully it'll be something around. I'll be dodging the games. That's my plan. And there will be a call-in show tomorrow at, I can't remember what time I said I was going to do it, 7 or 8 p.m. There'll be a call-in show around then. And we'll do that, get some guests on. Until then, guys, have a great, well, there's no night left, is there really? I'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great dawn.
Yeah, have a great dawn. And we'll see you later on today.